up, y'all? It's Mike Holloway, winner of Survivor Worlds Apart. And you're about to listen to a podcast with two best friends that we all love, Survivor. So sit back, grab a Dr. Pepper, because I'm 155,000% sure you're about to Dwayne and Dave. Take it away, guys.
Hello, welcome to the show. I'm Dwayne.
And I'm David.
And
I'm
you're
Kelley.
slow. And
Was
we're just two best friends talking about this. I haven't introduced you yet.
Well, you froze, too, and now your screen's gone dark. So
But yes, you're Kelley. What the heck?
Yes, I am Kelley.
All right, this is all weird and funky. What's going on?
your screen keeps going out, like your camera keeps shutting off. Oh my God. Is it just me, or are you seeing dark too, Kelley?
Yeah, it's going off.
Well, that's cruddy.
It's actually not a bad look, but you're back on now, so it's okay.
Welcome to the show. I'm Dwayne.
And I'm still David.
And we're just two best friends talking about the show we love, Survivor, and we're having some problems, and I don't know why. But welcome to our special postseason episode, Kelley Wentworth Tells All. Of course, we couldn't do the show without our very special guest, Kelley Wentworth. Hello, Kelley.
Hi, Dwayne. How are you?
Well, I'm doing better.
I think she's a little nervous to talk to you right now.
Maybe so, because
I don't know if he's going to restart, and I also know there's a special surprise he wants to show me, so I'm afraid.
No.
You should be.
Oh, no, I bet it doesn't even work now because I had to switch. Hold on.
Oh, good. I don't want a special surprise.
Well. All right. Well, before we get on with the show, thank you, Kelley, for coming on the show. It's awesome to have you.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yep. We have two new D&D patrons, Nina Porsche, who, of course, played Survivor, and Stephen Pickett. So they, for the price of a drink a month, are supporting D&D. Thank you very much. I hear you and David have conspired behind my back, Kelley.
I don't think we really went behind your back necessarily. Mm-hmm. I think we just had a conversation, and it evolved into something.
Mm-hmm.
I think Dwayne's been watching too many court cases, and he thinks he's going to prove something here, but it's not going to happen.
Well, okay. Oh, Kelley, get your overlay back up again.
Oh, no. How did that happen?
I don't know. I really don't. We're just having all kinds of issues.
I'm sorry. Okay.
I am going to make this work.
I'm just a mess over here.
Okay.
I don't know how. I think you messed up my overlay.
Oh, it's okay. If you figure it out, just make sure you have the custom overlay. There you go.
I know. I'm quick like that.
All right.
I got it.
So anyway, I have countered. So what I'm talking about is, as you know, Survivor Talk with D&D, David and I compete in the D&D Survivor Challenge, right? And we draft our teams, right? And so David and myself, last season, Kelley's season, he was with Andy Baker and I was with Steve Helling, and I won. Our team won. By
an amazingly close amount. That was an incredible score. I mean, you guys pulled away at the end because Jeremy won, but gosh, that was tight the whole season.
Yes, it was. So this season, without
Shut up, David.
But the real question is, how many points did I get you, David?
Oh my gosh, you kicked butt.
You were the point leader until Jeremy won, because as soon as he won, then he got a lot of bonus points. So, but until that point, it was you and Spencer, actually. I think you were still ahead, and then Spencer was.
Yeah, Kelley left us. She doesn't care anymore.
Well, her picture's still there.
She keeps leaving us.
Pull that up.
There she's back.
Sorry, guys. I don't know what happened.
Keep leaving us?
I switched Wi-Fi.
Oh, that will do it.
No, but I thought my Wi-Fi was. I have two different Wi-Fis and the one wasn't working.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Right. And when that happens, your overlay kicks off. So get your overlay.
I am already on top of it.
You are good.
Okay, forgive me.
Does anybody else just want to start over?
Hey, the final The final total, to answer your question, I know he's still going on. Jeremy ended up with 234 points because he got 64 in the finale.
Yeah, exactly.
But you were in second with 229, and you didn't even win.
Pretty good for not making it to final
5
3.
points. 5 points behind the winner, and you didn't even make final 3. Exactly.
Well, the best way to make final 3 is to be a goat.
Yes.
But when it comes
too early.
But when it comes to the fantasy challenge, when you pick a friend as your number 1, it comes through for you. So I just wanted to make sure we get that out there, which is why she's going to be my partner next season in the draft challenge.
So next season, for season 32, we're drafting again, and David and Kelley will come up with their own team name. And I have picked as my partner Dan Foley.
Has he said yes?
He said yes.
Oh.
So, Kelley, you have to come on a show with Dan Foley and us.
Well, that's fine. I never had a problem with Dan.
All right.
Well, you didn't play with Dan, so if you played with Dan.
Oh, boy. It could be a long night.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so many are watching and chatting on our live page, stwdd.com/live. We will do all of our questions and answers, all of the listener questions at the end after we talk about the whole season and stuff. And then, so if you're in the chat room, don't ask them now, ask them later, and we'll get all that taken care of. Before we talk season 31, Kelley, are there any other shows you already have lined up that our listeners can look forward to hearing?
Oh, podcast-wise?
Yeah.
I do, but they haven't been announced by the people, and so I don't want to ruin it in case.
Oh, really?
They were, you know what I mean?
Like,
I do have a couple coming up.
But they don't want you. Okay.
Well, I mean, no, it's just that they haven't announced it on their page, so I don't want to be I don't know.
So follow her on Twitter to keep up with all of her appearances.
Okay.
Live
well,
and on.
Well, I'm gonna guess you'll probably go on Rob's and you'll probably go on the Tribe. Probably go on those. Maybe go on Survivor Oz. I don't know. I just, I like to cross promote, so they don't promote.
No, that's super sweet. I just don't, I don't want to say it and then because it hasn't been announced. I guess.
All right. Well, let's get to my gift. I have a gift for Kelley, and then we're gonna talk.
Oh no.
We're gonna talk. All right. So this should work. I sure hope it works.
And you remember, Dwayne, that I said I don't like gifts, right?
Well, this is just cruddy. Okay.
She just likes opening P.O. boxes, but otherwise she's boxes from her.
She doesn't mind that.
Exactly.
Right. You can't see anything on your screen, right? It doesn't show a YouTube video?
No.
All right. I thought this might happen, so I'll just play it. But I made you a YouTube video.
Wow.
All right. So instead, I'm going to just have to play it. So here it is.
So it's just audio.
This will be, but I will post a video for you to share with all of your friends.
Oh, gosh.
The
Okay.
Kelley song, rewritten by me, Dwayne Stroud, from Survivor Talk with D&D.
Oh, wow.
To you, Kelley Wentworth.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh.
Kelley, my friend, you were on Survivor. When we watched you, we felt fine. You fought near the bottom and hid idols near your bottom.
Oh my God.
You made this season worth all our time.
Oh my God.
Kelley, 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 Kelley.
Oh my God.
Because you're Kelley, 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 so fine.
Oh my gosh.
Fine, 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 fine.
Oh my gosh.
So fine.
Were there Were there pictures or something to go along with that?
I put all the words on the bottom so you can.
That would have been
along.
better than what we had to look at if you actually watched the video. Yeah.
It's me at the piano playing the Kelley song.
But what's funny is he got to the end of that first part, and I looked down at the line, and I'm like, he's only halfway through. What else is he going to sing? And then we get to the fine chorus.
Fine.
Dwayne, that was great. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Kelly.
I especially liked the hiding idols near my bottom.
Yes. Wasn't that creative?
You're very observant, JC.
That was good because bottom rhymes with bottom. That was really good.
I know.
Yeah.
Very creative, Dwayne. I like that. Thank you.
Well, we've in the last time we had you on the show, last couple times, we've always referenced the Kelley song.
I know.
So I thought I'd write my own.
I think it was perfect.
Why give Woody Harrelson all the fun?
You got the only song this year, Kelley, so you should feel honored. He did not write one parody this season.
All
That's
right.
amazing. I feel super special.
Okay, so getting on the show.
Okay.
Were you surprised? Well, what surprised you about the process? And then were you surprised that you got on?
The process from just beginning to end, like getting the phone call from...
No, more so, well, whatever you want to talk about, but I was specifically thinking...
What was the first thing? What was the first thing you heard of about this, or what was the first iota that said, hey, this might be my time to get back on?
Well, I think the thing for me is that when I played in San Juan del Sur, when I was voted off, I wanted to go back immediately. There was no question in my mind I wanted to play again, and I didn't think I would ever have the opportunity, so the fact that I was able to go back and that the fans voted me in, I mean, that was the coolest part about the entire process. But yeah, like when I played the first time, I just didn't feel like I had done enough and showed enough, and so I wanted to go back immediately. I would have gone back in the game like the next day when I was in Ponderosa. So
you were like, hey, kick my dad out.
No, I love my dad. No. And I just want to set the record straight. My dad is not the reason why I didn't go further in San Juan del Sur. Like, I'm so sick of people saying that. I have always said all along, playing with a loved one, I don't care who you are. If you went out there with your wife or your son or your daughter, whoever, it's much more difficult for anybody. That's it.
There's twice as much worry, twice as much strategy, twice as much planning.
Exactly.
Yes.
So when you got the call, were you all in? You were like, okay, I'm going to make sure I get on this time.
Yeah, absolutely. So they called me, and there was no question in my mind. I was not super pumped up about the fan vote because I just knew it would be a lot of work, especially for me because I was not a shoo-in like Joe or Spencer. I mean, they had to do no work. Like I essentially was playing the game for like a month before I had to go on the show.
Right.
And it was just a lot. Like, it was a lot. So, but I was all in. I mean, I wasn't not going to attempt because I felt like that would be my only time probably to ever go back on the show.
So who was the first other candidate to contact you?
Ooh.
You remember the first one? You might have had a flood one in the first day that it got public, but...
That's the thing. I don't know because I feel like there were people that I had already kind of been in contact with on social media, just because when you're in the Survivor community, like people reached out to me this season and said, hey, like good luck and all these things. So you kind of just touch base with people regardless because we're like we all went through something that no one will understand unless you play the game.
Right.
So I can't think of one specific person that like reached out to me first and was like, hey, like we're gonna do this. And I never had a solid alliance with anybody because there was no way to know who would even be on the show. Yeah. I mean, like you can't be campaigning and worrying about getting on. For me, I was just worried about getting on the show. So
you said yes to everybody that called.
That's the thing. Yeah, right? I know. My phone was just ringing off the hook. Everyone wanted to work with me, you know, the girl that made it 5 episodes.
Yeah.
Hey, Kelley, now what season did you play on again? Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. No, you're probably not even going to make it, so I don't want to talk to you. No.
Oh, I thought it was the other Kelley. I'm sorry. Wrong.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Never mind. Wrong Kelley.
It is pretty cool that it is pretty cool that you made it on, especially considering you didn't make it very far. You didn't have the name. You didn't have the reputation that a lot of people had, just like you said. But I think everybody's glad that you got on, for sure.
I hope so. I
Yeah.
said it in my Ponderosa video that I hope I made the fans proud because it meant a lot to me. And I've always been super active with fans across all social media because it's fun for me and I appreciate all of them. So going out there, I really wanted to make sure that I made the most of my second chance, and that's what I did.
You've got the Team Wentworth shirts. Have you started selling the "Who Knew Drew Christie Was Right" T-shirts?
No, I'm not going into the T-shirt business, you guys.
Come on.
Honestly, those shirts that sell, I make like $1 off of them. Like it is not. I'm not becoming a millionaire, and I only made those because I posted a picture and people were asking for them. Like it is not a career. So I'm sorry, no other shirts are coming out from me. No, I'm sorry.
You're not going to start your own shirt company?
No, oh my gosh, no offense. No offense to anybody else. I feel like I need to cover my bases here. I didn't mean anything negative by that. It's not my passion in life. So
Gotcha.
No, I would not be starting a T-shirt line.
Okay, so the night of the finale.
Yeah.
And they are announcing who's on the next season, who's on Second Chance.
Mm-hmm.
Did you go through? I think I'm on. I'm probably not. I mean, did you have to go through all that, or were you confident, or what were you going through that night?
It was really weird because I kind of didn't get my hopes up throughout the whole process because I felt that if I made it, it was meant to be, and if I didn't make it, then I would just go back home the next day and kind of like Survivor would probably be done for me, and I would move on with my life.
Right. And
it's really weird. I was actually really calm when we were sitting there, and I saw who I was with. I saw it was, what did Prope say? Like the 4 pretty girls or something?
Yeah, something like that. We have all the other women, and then we have the 4 pretty girls.
I feel a little awkward right now. Like this, come on. But he said, it was me and Michaela and Natalie and Monica. And when he said 2 of us, I just felt like I had a good shot only based on what I had seen on social media and people tagging me and people that had said they were voting for me. So I felt okay. And either way, I was okay with it.
And because you were prettier than them is what you were thinking.
Okay, no, whoa. You're trying to get me in major trouble right now? Like, no. For the record, I did not say that at all. But I was like the only blonde, so I thought, okay, they have to have.
Well, you even told us that. I don't know if it was chatting or on our show. Look, there aren't that many blondes,
There were none except for Abby
those that they're not even natural blondes. So
that's what I'm saying.
Obviously, I'm getting on the show.
So,
okay, well,
we
were joking around about it.
Yeah, no, you're right. I remember that. I think it was in a chat, but it's funny because you were sitting one of 4, and he said 2. When Troyzan was sitting one of 3 with Golden Boy 1 and Golden Boy 2.
Yeah.
And he said it was down to 2 guys, and he's like, he was ready just to get up and walk out then because he knew he wasn't going back.
Yeah.
That whole process was heartbreaking, though, because I remember sitting on stage with everybody else, and I was so excited. But then I looked out, and I saw, T-Bird and Shane and just these other people that had been waiting a really long time.
Right,
and my heart broke for them because I was so excited, but I could only imagine what they had felt and how I would be feeling if I was still sitting there and having to...
Yeah, who were you most surprised was still sitting out there?
That's the thing is I didn't feel surprised really by anybody because I didn't know how it was going to go. You don't know who all is voting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I said, there are people that I thought were shoo-ins, but you have no idea. I guess everyone thought they were surprised by Shane, but to be honest with you, I feel like he was on such an old season and that these millions of people who watch probably didn't remember him.
Right.
Not that I have nothing wrong with him. I'm just saying that I think people who really love the show, who are big fans, voted for him, but I don't know if like the general public who is voting voted for him.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So then you get on a bus, and then they say, okay, now what?
Yeah, we got on a bus and went straight to Cambodia.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got on the bus, drove around the corner, said, all right, get off the bus. We got stuff to do.
Yeah.
Well, she didn't return my text, so obviously they took your phone.
Oh, she returned mine.
Oh,
said, it's my last chance to talk. So.
But yeah, actually, David was my last phone call. I told him to contact my mom and my dad. So when I got back from Cambodia, he told me that he did deliver on that promise.
Nice,
So thank you,
yeah.
Dave.
So she had to agree to be my draft partner when we came
Yeah.
back.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice. So tell us then, what are some of the behind the scenes of getting, like, from when they marched you on the bus to when you went out to Cambodia? What was involved?
Yeah, so we were on the bus, and we actually, they did some filming on the bus, which they ended up not using, obviously, because you didn't see any of it.
Right.
But I think we went up and down the same street like 10 times. I was like, okay, I can't even talk to anybody. I'm so excited we couldn't talk to each other. It was, we were so excited we made it on, and yet we had to pretty much contain all of our excitement. Then we went back to the hotel, and we were in LA for a couple of days doing all that press stuff, which you guys ended up seeing came out before the season started. And then we flew off to Cambodia and did all the usual pre-game stuff you have to do. It ended up being a long time, longer than I remember it being in San Juan del Sur. So we were all ready to go once the game started.
Was it delayed as well?
The other day.
Yeah, did they tell you one day and then it got delayed or something from weather or something else? Or
No, it didn't get delayed. I just think because we did the extra press in LA before leaving, that's why it ended up taking so long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So pre-game alliances, what are you willing to tell?
Wait, I feel like you're trying to Jeff Varner me right now, and I do have a big mouth, but it's not quite on his level. So
he laid it all out there, didn't he?
That was so funny. I wish I could have coached Jeff beforehand and been like, okay, so I know that 15 years ago you probably didn't do this same kind of press, but anything you say will come out somewhere.
Yes.
I just don't think he knew, because when he played, they didn't do all of this. There was no YouTube, there was no Twitter, all these things where everything you say can be shown, I guess.
Right.
Shown against you in a court of law.
So I mean, what do you want to know, Dwayne?
Did you, before you got on the beach, was there anybody you didn't have to speak to because you were already locked in with?
Yes, that's what I want to know.
I would say
we're co-counsel here, by the way.
Are you trying to making a murderer of me right now? Or are you trying
to make a survivor? There you go.
Am I Steve Avery right now? Like, am I already guilty?
Yes.
But I'm not.
Proven innocent. That's right.
I am planting evidence as we speak. Turn your head.
Watch. There's a fob right behind you. Be careful.
I'll find it in 4 days. Okay.
That's right.
Yeah. This is the 12th time I'm asking this question. This time I will get the answer, because I will place it there.
Are you sorry, Kelley? Are you sorry? Are you? Come on.
No, never.
I'm not happy if you're not sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
Okay. So you just said yes. There were some people that you were like, I don't have to talk. Did they end up on your tribe?
Yes.
Do you want to tell us who they were?
No.
If you don't tell us, you better not tell any of those other guys.
Listen, I haven't to date, so some secrets will just have to stay with me.
Oh, believe me, I know about that kind of stuff.
I'm sure you can guess. I'm sure it's not hard to figure out based on what happened in the first episode.
All right, there you go. We're just going to let that go.
Let's put on our thinking caps.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to episode 1. Yeah. You'll find your answers there.
Okay. By the way, I went and watched your discovering of the idol clue again.
Oh,
episode.
yeah.
That was such an amazing, you weren't on my fantasy team, so I was cheering for you as your friend.
Okay.
David was cheering for you as your friend and as fantasy team player.
Yes.
Yes, he was.
But way to go, Kelley. I mean, just bravo.
Oh, thanks. What was fun about watching that? Just the way that I did it, or what? Or my excitement when I thought it was an actual idol?
Oh, yeah. And I think, I kept checking to see if my TV was on mute, but no, you were just talking.
Yeah.
Because they had to keep bleeping out all the excitement. It was so exciting for you.
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I was so shocked.
So how long? I mean, because was it a good hour before you found it, or was it pretty quick?
Well, and I've had this question asked before, and I can't say it was, an hour until I found it. Basically what happened, I knew that the only time I would be able to go out and look for the idol was the first day when I was gathering stuff, because anytime you leave camp after that, people are suspicious of you. You can never go off by yourself. And so I went out at first, and I think it was maybe Abby and PG, or maybe Abby and Shireen. I don't remember, but I think two of the women came out with me to start.
Yeah.
Yes, to Bracelet Gate.
Abby and PG were over there fighting.
Right, exactly. That's when Bracelet Gate started. No. So they started coming out with me, and I was like, hey, they're going to start building the shelter, but we need to gather the items for the shelter, like the palm fronds. We need to start getting coconuts, firewood, whatever. And so no one suspected anything because someone has to do that.
Right.
And so we started going out, and I remember, because you start out right by camp, right? You're like, oh, there's 2 palm fronds, and I'm going to walk them 20 feet. Mm-hmm. And so the girls went with me the first couple times, and then I think they were like, nah, we're going to start weaving the palm fronds. I'm like, yes, okay, perfect, right? So then I started going out by myself, and you're getting further and further away from camp. So when you come back with something, you're saying to the other people, oh man, it's just like they're so far, and I'm having to bring stuff back. So I think actually looking for the idol clue, I think it was maybe 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But going out and getting the supplies was at least 2 hours.
Yeah.
Maybe more than that, maybe 2 or 3 hours.
How many trees did you check? How many odd trees did you check before you found that one? Wasn't it a tree cove or something?
That's the thing, is the space that you have, the beach is so long. And so I just kind of started walking up and down the path. I was just kind of just poking around. I don't know how many I actually looked in, but then I just looked in one, and it was literally just sitting right there. Mm-hmm. It was so crazy. And I looked, of course, I think the tree was kind of by tree mill. Mm-hmm. It was kind of in a spot that was, it wasn't obvious by any means, but it was by a certain thing.
But they wanted you to find it. Yes, they want idols.
Yeah, right. They wanted me, of all the people, right?
Well, they wanted somebody.
Right? No.
They wanted the blonde they wanted somebody, right?
Right.
I actually know what really happened.
Oh, boy.
Ooh, Dwayne, give me your theory, okay.
So Kelley says to the cameraman, look, I'm here, you're here. No, I'm just kidding. She said, look. She goes to the cameraman. She goes, look, do you want a bonus check? If you want a bonus check, then you get the shot. The only way you're going to get the shot is if I know where the idol clue is. So walk, buddy.
We struck a deal.
Yeah, I'm going to plant some evidence.
Police are coming to get you for revealing that information.
Ah!
Can you hear that?
That's right.
Yes.
So, but did you use the Malcolm technique where you walk down the path and step off, and the cameraman puts his camera down? So you get back on the path, and you walk a little further, and then you take a right. He keeps his camera up, and you keep going, and then he puts his camera down. Then you get back on the path.
I should have done that.
Yeah,
no, but here's the thing: is that I had said when I was going up by myself, I said I'm looking for an idol.
Right.
So they knew, so they were following me all over. Whoa, there's something going on outside.
Going to get them singers because they're not singing yet.
Yeah.
There it goes.
Well, really good. And then, of course, then they sit you down so that you can read it, and you find out that it is go ahead. I see your hand.
Well, I do want to say that having an idol clue or an idol is very stressful.
Oh, I bet.
So it's very exciting, but as soon as I found out, that's why I stuffed it in my pants right away, because I was so paranoid that someone would come walking down the path. Right. And then you go to read it, and you're just like looking around worried, but then they want you to read the clue, and because I don't want someone to carry deets to like come down the path looking for wood, and I'm screwed. Yeah. So it's very stressful for anyone that thinks it's easy. It's not that easy holding on to hiding an idol. Right. Or a clue.
All right.
Continue. I'm sorry, Dwayne.
No. It's all good. So I keep hearing myself in my own.
I do too now.
Oh, praise the Lord, we got it figured out. Yay! Whee!
I'm just glad she's not going to make us log off again.
Okay, hold on. So what do I need to do?
Everything's working now.
It's fine.
It must have been those headphones.
Yeah, it was. Okay. Yes. All right.
Screw you, Apple. I want my $20 headphones reimbursed.
That's right.
Okay.
The opinions on this podcast may not reflect.
Okay.
I mean, Apple, if you want to sponsor our show, we'll still.
Sorry, everybody that's watching. That's okay.
Yeah, but the chat room fixed it, so it's cool.
Okay.
All right. So you get the idol clue. Wow. It's 8:51 and we're still on day one. All right.
Yeah,
so
I know. Oh God.
Well, we had a lot of technical
No,
problems.
we're
These
weekend
crazy.
day one. Day one was the studio, so we're like 10 days in.
Yeah.
We're good.
So you have this clue, and then you realize, oh my gosh, I have to get this at the actual challenge.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember pre-show, I texted you, and I said, can you believe, or how cool is this? And I don't know if I go find the idol, and boy, you played it cool.
I have
Well,
such a
no
good.
way.
I have a good poker face, right?
Oh, you had a great poker face.
What did I say? I don't even remember. I'd have to go back and look.
I said I think I would go look for it regardless, right?
Okay.
Just throw it to the wind. I would find that idol. And you said,
Yeah.
well, you don't know, because if there's people watching you, you don't want them to see you looking for it.
But at the same time, who's going to watch when nobody knows? See, I was more interested to see if Kelley was going to watch the other tribe at Jeremy's challenge when he went looking. I wish they'd have showed us to see if you were watching the other side now that you knew idols were at challenges.
Right.
Because you were the only one that knew for the longest time.
I did. So I'll answer Dwayne's question first, and then I'll come back to yours, David, about watching at challenges. I think, so initially when I got the clue, I thought it was just an idol, and you could tell I was so excited, and then I had to calm down because I read the clue, and it obviously said you have to find it a challenge.
Yeah.
And actually,
I believe your exact words were, okay, I
jumped the gun a little.
Yeah, I jumped the gun a little.
Well, that's what anyone would think, because,
I know.
hello?
I know.
It's funny, I wasn't worried about getting it at the challenge, but I did think immediately this season is going to be very hard. That's what I thought. I was thinking, crap, like nothing is going to be, it's like they want us to work for it. That's exactly what I thought. So, yeah.
That's a good thinking, because they're going to bring everything back, but it's going to be harder.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
And then Venus will not turn the heck around.
Oh my gosh, so that's the thing. So that's the crazy thing. So I knew, so I had to do some preparation. So I had to figure out a way that I could wear shorts, because I couldn't have my underwear on, and then where am I going to put it?
Right.
I had to have an excuse for that. And then when we were doing it, I was thinking, okay, I need to tell them that I have to be on the right side, and I have to be like either near the front and grab it before we go to the mat, or I have to be near the back and grab it after everyone gets to the mat. And so we were back at camp, and they were drawing pictures in the sand because Wigglesworth knew about the challenge and telling people where to go. And I said, oh, like, I'm really strong with my left arm. Like, I have to be on the right side. And they were like, yes, Kelley, you're on the left or the right side. I'm like, yes, okay, that's one thing out of the way. And then I was like, okay, I think I should be near the back because I don't know what the heck I made up. Just talking out my whatever.
I know what you said.
And then Vetus wanted to be behind me because they wanted a strong male. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Near
we know
the
why
back.
Vetus wanted behind you. Go ahead.
Okay. So.
We saw how Vetus acted at camp.
Oh boy, yeah, about that. So no comment. Let's leave that in the past.
It'll probably come out somewhere else.
Let's try a downward dog.
Oh my God.
Nice. All right.
Oh boy, yeah. I did not want to see his yoga moves in that underwear selection, but moving on. So we all had to get on the mat before we could begin the pole, which was the real problem. And the poles that came out from the raft were really long. So I couldn't just, reach under as I'm running because the pole was like in the way of grabbing it. I had to kind of go under the pole. So that's why I waited. And I just didn't want anyone to see me because I didn't want an immediate target.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, you honestly looked rather paranoid. Like, okay,
I was so paranoid.
yeah, I mean, not only your own Vetus, who won't keep his eyes from behind him, but the whole other tribes.
Yeah.
All the other tribes are over there.
Yeah.
You know? So.
Yeah, exactly.
Did
I mean,
you
at that point, it
care
was.
if you won the challenge or not?
Oh no, I wanted to lose because we had a plan to send Vetus home. I think I said in confessional, I said like, I don't even want to win. Like, I want to go to tribal council, and I just want the immunity idol.
Well,
Yeah.
I think at the end of that episode, or even at the end of that challenge, the CBS or the guys behind the architects of this particular part of the game were high-fiving because nobody cared about the challenge.
Yeah.
The cameras and the edit all cared about your decision on jumping into that idol, which was amazing. That's what was so great. Nobody cared about the challenge. Big deal. Kelly lost. Oh, sorry, Kelly. It's too bad. And then they're asking Kelley Wentworth, do you want to do the sticks? No, I'm good. Back here, y'all. Just keep facing that way and keep doing the sticks, and we're good to go.
Don't you know it was?
I got a
kinda
strong
like,
left arm, but it's short. You don't want me reaching through the fence.
Yeah, it's that time of month, so my left arm's stronger.
Yeah, anything. You know what?
Much
Anything.
shorter.
I would say anything, Dwayne. But I do want to touch on what David said. It's super funny because, you know, you don't get to see all of the producers and the cameramen, and it's a lot of people.
Right.
Who do challenges, and I remember looking over, and I could tell that everyone was looking at me when I didn't grab it, when I was on the mat and I was looking back. I could tell they were, I don't want to say they were mad, but I could tell they were all thinking, like, oh, how lame. Like, here's Kelley Wentworth. Why'd we bring her back? I knew that was going through their head. I knew it. And so when I finally grabbed it, I looked over, and they were all, like, smiling. So it was good.
So long as they didn't cheer. Way to go, Kelley! No, the other Kelley in the back. She's got something. Way to go!
Yeah.
So I could just imagine it's kind of like, okay, spoiler alert if you've never seen The Sixth Sense. All right, it's kind of like you go back and you watch The Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
All the all the producers and everything, they were like, man, we're giving it away. We're giving it away. But you weren't. And I can just imagine them all thinking, okay, everybody's going to know that we're looking at that one spot, you know?
Right.
And so I imagine looking back, okay, well, it wasn't as obvious. But I can imagine if I'm a cameraman, I'm going to be the one that wants to catch you, you know, finding the idol.
Yeah. I think Jeff Probst said in an interview after that they had one cameraman dedicated to me on that challenge.
Because I was thinking, you know,
That's
like
pretty cool.
Like
my own cameraman.
Right.
Yeah. It was
pretty good because I remember in the picture it's like he was shooting from across the other tribe anyway, so he had to do a wide shot, but at the same time it was like he was focusing on the tribe. He could keep it wide enough that he wasn't pointing you out, but that would have been kind of odd for Vetus to look over and say all the cameras going this way except for one camera looking back this way.
Streen's like, what are you filming? I know she's the only blonde, but really.
So were you worried that if you stepped off the mat the Probst would go, Kelley, get back on the mat?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was fun. That was cool.
Okay, but.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about where you hit it, but then it's all of this. Well, that you put it in the back of your pants.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I moved to the front, to the side.
Okay. But your pants were so tight. How did that work? People just weren't looking.
If you see me, that's why I have my hands. I have my hands like this on my hips because I was covering. My hand was on it the whole time.
Okay, but you don't even get to look at it until after you vote somebody off.
Yes!
I mean, how crazy was that? Did that totally throw y'all off?
No, because I was just excited that I had it, but of course I wanted to look at it. I had to wait until the next morning, and then the thing is that I had put it in my bag at that point, but it's so crazy and complex, the game, because any little thing you do, people will look at and say, why is she doing that? And so I had it in my bag, but I don't go around camp carrying my bag, you know? So I couldn't just put my bag on and, like, walk off into the woods.
Right.
So what I had to do, I wear contacts, and I had my glasses in my bag, and so I said, hey, I'm going to go put my contacts in, and I pretended like my glasses were in my bag or something, and so I took my bag to put my contacts, and then I put the idol like in my shoe. So I came back to camp, and I was like walking on the idol in my Converse.
Yeah. And
then I didn't even get to go do an interview for like 2 hours. So I had my idol in my shoe for that long around camp. It was, again, very stressful. The whole thing, very stressful. And
So,
it's like day 2.
Speaking of all that, it seems like a cardinal sin of Survivor is to walk off by yourself. How worried were you at all before you even found the clue that at least you didn't have Kimmy on your tribe, because she would have called you out, or Savage would have called you out for walking off and searching for the idol?
Yeah.
They did that to Fishback. But, I mean, were you worried at all when you kept going out by yourself? Or did they think, oh, that's Kelley, she didn't make 4 episodes or whatever. She was, she's not going to be finding any idols. Or
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know when Steven went looking for his idol, but I think, again, because I kept bringing back materials, they didn't really suspect anything. And I was never gone. What?
It seems like he stayed away, like he never came back.
Well, I don't know what he was doing, but I kept coming back every 15 minutes.
You were actually accomplishing things.
That's what I mean. I wasn't gone for an hour and came back with 1 coconut. I would come back like my hands full of pompron. So
Fishback comes back an hour later, sopping wet and nothing to show for it.
Covered in mud. Where have you been?
I tried to cut down a tree, but I couldn't figure it out.
Why are your hands covered in mud? No reason. I didn't dig up anything. I'm trying.
Why are you in underwear and soaking wet? I don't know.
Yeah.
So I imagine the stress level while in the game is high the whole time. So after you're leaving the challenge, which you probably didn't even care that you lost, your mind was in another world. Yeah. Did the stress level come down any at all? Did you get any relief about having that idol in your pocket, knowing that you just had the first advantage in the game? How did that feel, walking away from that challenge?
Yeah, it was amazing, because I had all this stress and I was so paranoid, and you saw that whole scene when I was trying to get the idol. I mean, I don't think I've ever been that stressed in my entire life. And so then when I actually had it, I didn't care that we were going to tribal. It just was like a weight off my shoulders, and I had added safety.
Right.
So it was, I was the best, it was amazing.
It was kind of funny because you were the only person on your tribe that wasn't upset.
Yeah.
I don't think other people were upset. I think there were some people that were happy.
They were just consoling, Wigglesworth, and then Kelley said, yeah, sorry about that. Good job. Okay, let's go.
Yeah, it's okay. So, I know, it's okay, Phil.
How soon did the old school, new school division happen? Before you even got off the boat to get the rice or get the goods, or once you got on the island?
Well, I didn't know that Jeff Varner had all these different things going on, so I didn't know about an old school alliance plus Vetus and Wu. Very strange. But it was very clear on the Takeo Beach who was together and who was not together. I mean, Wigglesworth, Terry, Wu, and Vetus, they only worked on the shelter, and they only really talked to each other. So that it was very clear that they were all together.
Right. Were you surprised that Vetus and Wu were with, I guess the style they were playing was considered old school, but, I mean, if you look at the majority was there's a lot of new school players on there, or newer players. I don't know. I would have thought it would have been a seasonal divide more so than an old school, new school style of play. Did that surprise you at all? Or if Vetus had walked over and joined you guys, would you still have voted him out?
Well, I think that Vetus at one point did try and connect with me and connect with the other people, but it was very obvious who was with who. And the thing with Vetus, so at one point, I remember we were in the water, and I don't remember who it was. I think it was me, Spencer, Vetus, PG maybe. I don't remember the exact group. But Vetus is sitting across from me in the water, and he digs down in the water and pulls up a handful of sand, and he walks towards me in the water and goes, "Rub my back." And I'm just thinking, no, I was like, it just was, and I couldn't say no.
Like looking around.
Okay, like rubbing sand, and
Wait, you actually did it?
I did it, because what could I say? Like, no?
So now every guy in America knows. Just approach her and ask her to rub your back. She won't say no.
No, in the game of Survivor, I could not say no on day, 1 or 2, but so that kind of started my feeling of, it just kind of weirded me out, and I wasn't really down with what he was bringing to the table. So no offense,
Vetus. Just awkward.
It was super awkward. Yeah. So.
Wow.
Yeah. That's my story of the night right there. You're welcome, America.
Let's see, how can I get Kelley to rub my back? I'll pick up dirt and I'll approach her in front of all these people. Wow.
Yeah. So that happened.
Wow.
So before the first tribal council, sorry, one more question. Before the first tribal council, who was your tightest conversationalist? Who's the people you talk to without hiding anything or bluffing? Was there anybody like that yet?
Yeah, well, at that time, I was, I felt very comfortable with Varner because I didn't think people would suspect that we would be working together. Also, you know, I was fairly close or felt comfortable with Shireen and Spencer. Mainly because, like I said, like Terry, Wu, Vetus, and Wigglesworth were super tight, and they didn't really let people in. It's hard to explain. So I felt like I was able to have strategic conversations with Shireen and Spencer over some of the other people out there.
Do you think it helped that you didn't have as long a resume as like Spencer did? Because Varner said, like the first episode, he really loved Wentworth. He wanted to work with Wentworth. You know,
yeah. Yeah, I think it helped that I didn't have a big resume going in. I mean, obviously no one targeted me immediately and didn't think that I really was going to do anything. But I think that the, air quotes, old school alliance was very intimidated by the fast-paced play of the, air quotes, new school alliance.
Yeah.
Even Varner himself, I think, was overwhelmed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just look at, you just watch that episode and watch Shireen. I mean, she was freaking Varner out.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
So really, one thing I noticed about, and I don't know, David, we'll just kind of play this by ear, but I'm kind of like an overview of the season. You never really were, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's almost like you were always scratching your way up to the top. It's like you never were in control.
Yeah.
I mean, in fact, even one time you were saved. I think Joe saved you once. You know, but it just felt like.
Do you mean I saved Joe?
No, I think he's saying that Joe may have let you know.
I was kidding.
Kidding.
Yeah. Okay.
We didn't go to tribal that night, so I know what you're talking about, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, it just
he was going to bat for me at that time. I know what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah.
It just kind of felt like you were. It's not like somehow Kelley Wentworth makes it through this game with, and all honesty, without being a goat. You were in no way a goat. All right. And yet you fought your way through this entire season and made the right moves at the right time. And really, I mean, it was, and I know I'm biased, but it was fun to watch someone in your position play the different people that needed to be played and handle yourself through the entire season. And, you know, unfortunately, people do take goats to the end, and so you don't get to go to the end.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you appreciate that and that hopefully people saw that. And I know I was honestly an underdog in the true sense of the word. Like, literally, the only vote that I had any sort of control of with other people was the first vote against Vetus.
Yeah.
And after that, it was just a combination of things. It was, you know, Varner wanting to target Spencer. So then, you know, we got out Shireen, and then that kind of got rid of my alliance that I had at that time. And then after that, I mean, really the big problem came when we did the first swap, and Angkor had 4 Takeo and got rid of Takeo because at that point, I had no numbers ever.
Right.
And so that's really when it started that I was I mean, I was on the bottom everywhere I went because I never had the numbers.
Right.
Because
it's like you never got to rest.
Oh, no, it was so stressful. Why do you think I lost 31 pounds?
I know. Well,
not because I wasn't eating. It's because I was stressed out every day.
Some people get to go through the game and they're like, I know I'm safe for the next.
That was Jeremy this
days.
season. No offense. I love Jeremy.
Right.
But that was him. He was in a cushy alliance the whole time.
Right. That's why he obviously wouldn't take you for obvious reasons. But whenever you were in trouble, the person that saved you was usually you, either by idol or by immunity win. So Spencer, the best move he made was latching onto Jeremy.
Oh,
there
I know.
were times when Spencer was also playing for the bottom. He didn't have the best thing he did was say, "I have no friends over there. I'm looking for new friends," and he got Jeremy.
We were in very similar positions.
That's exactly. You were both fighting from the bottom, but him having to explain his moves at the end was going to be harder than you saying, "Have you all seen the last 10 episodes? Did you see what I did to be right here at this point?"
Yeah.
So I think that's obviously. I mean, I guess Jeremy also had an alliance with him, was going to keep that, but at the same time, Jeremy played it perfect. He could not take the person that had the visual resume. You know, exactly. So.
Well, and you guys, that's why I started crying when I lost the last challenge. Like, I'm not dumb. I knew.
I know.
I wouldn't have become that visibly upset and frustrated with myself if I didn't know that I had literally dropped a ball and lost $1 million.
Right.
So.
And unfortunately, that's, to me, was the not the downhill slide, but where the season just kind of tapered off. Because with Kelley gone, Jeremy's not taking Kelley. He's taking Tasha, taking Spencer, and they're not going to get enough votes to outseat Jeremy. Jeremy's got too much support on the jury, and he's just in too good a position.
Okay, so I just want to go ahead and get this question out here. All right.
Uh-oh.
Because it bothered me.
Okay. All right.
And I'm sure we'll get to stuff in the middle of the season, but I have a question about the end. Tasha was never even. I mean, it was so obvious that she didn't have to do anything at Tribal Council but sit there because she's going to the final three because she's a goat, but they didn't show us anything during the season, during the CBS edit, to show us why she is such a goat, right? So we all know it. We're not stupid. We're watching the same show, and we see she's not worried a bit. She's the GOAT. But why? Why was she the GOAT?
Well, and I'm going to try and play nice here.
Okay,
I don't want any backlash on Twitter.
Well, okay.
I'm
okay,
over
let me
it.
Say that again.
I'm over it.
Well, let me be clear.
My block finger is doing well, guys. So
there you go.
Okay?
Well, let me be clear. I am not trying to get you to say things about her. I'm trying to figure out why did Jeremy and Spencer want her over you? Why why was she considered the GOAT?
And I'll explain that. So I think early on in the game, I think Tasha did play a good game. She started out very strong because she was on that Encore tribe, and she and Andrew Savage used Abby Maria to get a Takeo out. That's huge because that would have been me. That would have been like me and Terry Dietz getting out, I don't know, whoever, right? I mean, that's not easy when you don't have the numbers from your original tribe. So I will give her credit there. I think the problem with Tasha is that she comes across a little bit insincere. She comes across a little bit. Okay, let me give you an example. So my whole game, I was very open to everybody because that was one of my downfalls in San Juan del Sur, is that I was very closed off to people that I didn't feel close to.
Right.
So on the third tribe swap, when it was, I was on the new Bayon, and I was the only one. I was the only Takeo, original Takeo. So I tried to talk to Tasha, talk to Jeremy, because I had not seen them for 10 days of the game or whatever it was. And so I took Tasha aside and I said, hey, let's go sit on the hammock. I just want to connect with you, whatever. Just try and build something, see where her head was at, talk a little bit of strategy. She literally looked at me and said, I just need to figure out what's going on with other people. I'm just not ready to make any decisions. And I knew from that point she would never work with me. She just wasn't willing to work with people or even pretend to entertain the idea that she would work with me. And I think that came across to a lot of people when she was only willing to work with Savage and Jeremy and Spencer. We felt like she was kind of riding their coattails and they were doing all the work.
Okay. So basically,
I don't think she was a goat in the sense. I don't know how to explain it.
Well, that's my question was going to come up later. in that when you got to Ponderosa, what was the sense there of her game? Because
No. She was getting 0 votes. Nobody respected her game.
that's what I'm saying.
Okay,
What was
well, then that's
because
why.
I agree with you. At Angkor, she did a fantastic job of surviving.
Yeah.
Her and Savage, pretty much their stock went up huge when they survived that horrible tribe and those conditions, and that was amazing. But at this, all of a sudden, like Dwayne said, from there on, we've got nothing to tell us that she's broken anybody's heart or she's stabbed anybody. She's playing what seems to be as hard as anybody else, but at the same time, she's always in Jeremy's circle. She's always sitting beside Jeremy or always talking to Spencer. It's never Tasha saying, I'm going to make this big move.
That's the thing, and that's why it was frustrating for me, and I think for some of the other people, like let's say Kimmy or Abby, the women, when we tried to come up with that women's alliance, which I knew would never work out because honestly, women are so difficult to work with. I don't understand the problem. But I said to Tasha, like, honestly, at that time, I felt I could win against anybody, really. I felt like I could, give my case at Final Tribal. But I said to Tasha, I said, hey, lady, like, none of the women, none of us are going to win if we go against Jeremy and Spencer. We're not going to win. And she looked at me and said, yeah, I get that. I just think, like, my whole game is about being loyal, and, like, I'm just going to keep playing that way. And I honestly threw up my hands, and I was like, okay, whatever. I can't respect her gameplay in that sense because she wasn't willing to make a move. She wasn't She wasn't looking out for her own game. It was weird, and I just was like, I don't know how to explain it, but I didn't.
So it's like she was settling. She was settling instead of trying to win.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there's more money in 3rd place than there is in 4th place.
Oh, 10 grand?
Well, whatever. Hey, 10 grand would be nice right now.
I mean, yeah, but the thing is, like, it was just weird. I don't know.
Right.
Maybe because her game was so different from mine, and I just didn't understand.
But instead of going all Sierra on her, you just kept playing.
Yeah.
Right. Winning challenges, playing idols.
I was by myself. I was by myself almost the entire game. So.
Well, I tell you one thing that I really enjoyed watching was the way, at least the way it perceived to me, the way I received it, was how well you handled Abby.
Yes.
So, and I'm one of the rare few who loves to watch Abby.
Oh, I know, Dwayne.
I know, and I love watching Abby play. I love how she puts people in awkward situations.
Yeah.
It's great. I don't even think I don't know. She gets a kick out of it, but I don't think she does it to get a kick out of it.
You enjoy the effect she has on the game.
Yeah, but I loved watching you. It's like Abby was controlled, and you did a great job.
So what did you tell Abby when you got with her into the new part of the game?
Yeah, tell us about this.
I asked you what happened, and you told me flat out what you said.
What did I say, David? I don't even remember.
Shut your trap, and let's play the game. Something to that effect.
Oh, I did. Okay, yeah, I did. So.
Well, that was the second take. The first take was. And then the producers went, we can't air any of that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Please say that again.
Use the safe for work version.
Yeah, so when it came to merge time, I feel like I had done a good job of building a relationship with Abby to that point. And so when it came to merge, and we hadn't been together for 8-9 days at that point. And so when we got together, I think she felt comfortable enough with me. And I just basically told her, hey, well, after Cass was voted out, I said, hey, we are in big trouble. We're on the bottom. I said, we do not need to make waves. And so just shut up. Let's sit in the shelter and just see what comes to us. Like tomorrow's a new day. Don't go getting us in trouble and putting our names on the block. Just chill.
And how'd she respond to that?
I might have said it in a nicer way. I don't know at that point. I think she was like, yeah, you're right. I think she just was like, yeah, you're right. She was really mad that I voted for Cass. She was really mad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so I had to say to her, Abby, I'm trying to protect us moving forward in this game, and me voting for Cass, she was going home anyway. I have built relationships with other people that are going to help us. And I think she understood that. And it ended up working out because of everything that happened.
Right.
I think Jeremy played a great game from a dominant position, but I think what really showed Kelley's strengths were not only being able to work with Abby and consistently work with her, but I think I don't know if it was the third or fourth episode where it was right after you kind of threw Dietz under the bus, I guess, but they showed you in a conversation while he's out in the water with Keith
Yeah.
and Joe, and I think Wigglesworth, and was Abby there, or was there somebody else at that
No,
time?
because Wiggles, it was Sierra, Cass, Joe, and Keith.
And you were sitting with them as if you'd known them for years. And that's the attitude and the temperament you got to have, especially when you step into a new situation where you're the only one.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the difference. And I hate to say it, between what Kelley just said and what Tasha said to Kelley. You got to take every phone call. You got to agree to every pregame alliance, and you got to talk to anybody that comes up to you and talks to you. That could be a future jury member. You know, and watching you sit around with Joe and then with the other people, it's like, look, she's already in. That's a social play. That's a big part of the game, is playing the social game.
Yeah. I mean, I could have gone off in the woods and cried and been like, I'm here by myself. But that's not going to happen, you know. You have to make people feel like you want to be with them and work with them, and everything else, you have nothing else, and it doesn't matter, and this is what matters right now. And,
Right.
you know.
So do you have a favorite memory of the season?
Well, I have a lot of favorite memories, actually.
Well, share some of them.
We'll take all of them.
Well, I think obviously playing the first Idol was super fun because I knew that everyone was voting for me, and so to know that I had that in my back pocket and that everyone was like, sorry, but one of you is going home and you don't even know it, that was super fun. But also the reward challenge where Keith took us in the tuk-tuk.
Oh,
honestly, that was pure joy. Like, I forgot
Awesome.
about the game. It's one of the best moments that I've had in years. It was just so fun, and I was genuinely happy and laughing and not even thinking about the game. And so that was probably one of my favorites, besides playing the Idol.
Right, and playing the Idol was part of the game. You know, so you were still in the game. But see, I can imagine, because you and I and David had just talked about how the whole game, you're like constantly trying to make sure you stay in the game.
Yes.
I can imagine just being on the tuk-tuk.
Yes.
Enjoying it would be, Sorry,
it was
David,
so
go ahead.
fun. And I actually do have a little insider story, if you want to hear it, about after that.
I guess so.
So we have to take, you know, we don't just like walk to rewards and tribal and all that stuff. So we had to take a boat, and we had all stuffed our face with bagels and cream cheese and croissants and all this stuff. I think all of us had so much food. So we're going back, and the waves are really bad, and I think there's a storm coming. And Kimmy, what are you doing right now, Dwayne?
I'm going to take a picture of us. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm listening.
Your podcast selfie.
So poor Kimmy gets super sick on the boat. She has to use like a barf bag. This makes Keith get sick. And he like because we're in the little underneath part because we can't see anything. He like runs up the stairs to the back, and the production person is like, you can't come up here. And he's like, I'm gonna Ralph down there if I don't go off the back of the boat. And he's like, runs to the back of the boat, and so like he's like throwing up off the boat. Like Kimmy's underneath with like the other four of us, like puking in a barf bag.
Oh wow.
It was not their finest moment, but it just kind of ended the whole experience, if you will.
Okay, I guess we're back in the game now.
Yeah, I guess we have to go back to the beach. Yeah.
Speaking of your tuk-tuk driver, how would you rate Keith as a strategic threat or somebody playing the game?
Really?
This is mostly a social game. I mean, what did you think of Keith playing with him this time?
Well, the thing about Keith, see, I don't want to say anything negative about Keith because I love Keith as a person. He's the most genuine.
Is he playing against the game first, like he said in that one confessional, that really surviving the game is all he's trying to do, more so than build anything or strengthen anything?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that like Keith's not coming up with any plans.
Right.
You know, and he's just kind of trying to fit in wherever and get to the end. And I love Keith.
Yeah.
That's what I said during the show.
Yeah.
Keith's with whoever talked to him last.
Yeah.
Right? It's whoever happens to be sitting around where Keith is. That's where Keith's going.
Yeah, it's and in a sense, having someone like Abby on your side is very difficult to manage, but having someone like Keith is also very difficult to manage because he kind of goes wherever the wind blows him. So,
right.
I remember when we had that Stephen Fishback plan, and it was the 5 or 6, whatever the number was, to get rid of Fishback. I think I told Keith 25 times, like, it's still Fishback. It's still Fishback. And he would come to me and go, fish? And I go, yes, Keith, it's still Fishback, And he's like, Fishback. And I'm like, yes, Keith, I said that 5 minutes ago. It's still Fishback. Don't change anything no matter what anyone says to you. So
did he come up to you one time and say, it's him, right? Sitting right here. It's still him?
I know, right? He's like, this guy. I'm like, oh, my God. But I love Keith to death. He's so funny. And, like, our bond was so weird and fun, and I love Keith.
Yeah, I think his edit is pretty real, and that he's one of the nicest people you could meet. I just like Dwayne. I saw him playing from the outside. He was playing the game, but at the same time, he was just, when the music stopped, he fit into the hole that was right there. Yeah. And that's just kind of how he played.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that it's funny because he was really attached to Joe, which was really weird. But I do have to thank Keith because that night when everybody wrote my name down, he would kind of did a little sneaky thing himself and came over to me by the shelter and like wrote my name in the dirt.
Really?
And then wiped it away. So Keith had my back a lot of the game. It's just that, he went with the numbers that time, but he came around.
Yeah.
He came around.
When all those numbers went away.
Yeah, I know, right?
He came around.
He's like, okay. But to Keith's credit, he, along with myself, wanted to get rid of Jeremy like right after the merge. Right. And we just couldn't get the numbers because, Spencer and Joe were kind of going back and forth and were so dedicated to Jeremy for some reason. Yeah. But Keith did want Jeremy out for a really long time.
That kind of reminds me, this whole block versus alliance thing, is that even real or is it just wordplay? I mean, was there really a difference in the way it just seemed to me like there was a word associated with it now, that Fishback decided that this season was going to be all about blocks, and so therefore it is now all about blocks. I mean, but to me it just seemed like normal Survivor.
Well, I think there was never really I don't know, I guess there was a dominant alliance because Spencer, Tasha, and Jeremy seemed to be together for a while and obviously went to the final 3, but I don't think it was a regular season where there were 6 or 7 people who, I mean, because if those 6 or 7 people would have stuck together, that means it would have been Cass, Sierra, me, Abby.
Sure.
Yeah. So I do think it was a little bit different in that sense, but it's funny you asked that because somebody sent me a video of Tony's Survivor Live after he won.
Uh-huh.
At one point in that, he said that one of the ways he won was by using voting blocks and using people to get rid of other people. So is it a new term? No. I don't really, whatever. I was just playing the game to win. Right. I don't care what the hell you want to call it. Yeah. I was by myself pretty much. So
yeah, I think it has a higher level of strategy because this season was obviously full of people who knew the game.
Right.
Yeah.
And there was no group of 8 from day one that were going to stay together till the end. Because everybody had resumes, everybody had ideas, everybody had chances to win. So you don't want to align with 2 other people that could take you out of the game at any time, like a Spencer or somebody else. And you don't want to align necessarily with Joe or Jeremy for full time because you don't think you can beat him at the end. So, like you said, to me there was no group alliances, no true tribe alliances, because the final alliance was from 2 different tribes. Jeremy, Tasha, and Spencer. It's whatever worked, and what worked was using the blocks whenever the blocks fit your plan.
Right.
So I kind of see it.
Some pre-game alliances going on there, but
Yeah.
What, some lose-on things?
I don't know.
Never know. Hey, so looking over the whole season.
Yeah.
If there's 1 or 2 challenges you wish they hadn't done, do you remember what they would have been? Which challenge did you look at and say, really? I really don't want to do this, or just walked away from saying, gosh, that was terrible?
Well, I think that at the merge, because there were so many people, they had to keep, they could only do so much with the individual challenges. So I was over the third ball balancing challenge.
Hello.
I'm like, come on. Well, mostly because I wasn't good at it, and so I'm just like, okay, I have no chance against 12 other people doing this.
Right.
But it just was boring. Like, I'm more of a puzzle person. I loved the Final Five challenge where it was the obstacles and the puzzle. Like, I love stuff like that. The nighttime challenge where we had to answer questions, which I was terrible at.
Yes.
But that kind of stuff.
Second idol challenge, yes, I remember that one.
So,
The second idol challenge, yes, that was.
yes, that was the one. Yes. Yeah.
Well, could y'all hear all of Probst's comments, or were they just ad-libbed in later on? During the ball challenges.
During which one?
The ball challenges.
Well, you block it out. That's a funny thing. I totally block him out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I want to hear about?
What?
I want to hear about whenever Joe passed out right before Keith would have passed out, and just kind of talk us through what that was like. Obviously, y'all all wanted Joe to lose.
You mean when I had to block 1,000 angry housewives on Twitter?
Yeah. Yes.
Just
A bunch of cougars. but I mean, obviously you didn't know the guy had passed out right away, so I'm just kind of curious what that was like out there.
Okay, yeah. So I do actually, if you don't mind, want to talk about Joe a little bit, because I felt like I was aligned with Joe, and I thought we had each other's back. And I actually said to Joe, because the thing about Joe is that, oh God, I have a hair in my mouth. Ugh.
That's the thing about Joe, y'all. He's got hair.
Oh God. Okay.
Okay.
So,
the little thing you didn't know about Joe.
So the thing about Joe, and he said this to me on the second tribe swap at Decay. He said to me, oh, I think, you and I will be big threats because we are going to be good in challenges. And he just kind of had this whole thing where, like, he felt like he was a threat. He kept feeling like he was, people are going to want him out.
Right.
And I never wanted Joe out. I really didn't. I was honestly working with Joe. And I said to him when Merge came, I said, to be honest with you, I said, I think if you're going to win these immunities, you are putting a target on your back, because nobody in this alliance here wants you out.
Right.
And I understand his concern and winning, but once he won 2, 3, it was a no-brainer. And, like, I had not wanted him out to that point. I genuinely didn't. So going back to the challenge where he passed out, at that point he had won so many that it wasn't even that I felt like I couldn't beat him at the end. If he went with me, I would have gone to the end with Joe. I had no problem going to the end with Joe. But I felt like I wanted to win immunity. Like, I just wanted a fair shot. And I felt like with him in the game, I think we all just wanted a fair shot to win. And so it wasn't about taking him out because we even didn't think we could beat him at the end. It was because we just wanted to be able to play too, So when he was there and we were all sitting there, we all were holding each other's hands, even the guys. We all wanted Joe to lose because we just wanted Joe to lose. Like, we were tired of him winning, and we wanted Keith, the old dude who's 55, to, like, beat the golden boy. It wasn't, I don't know how to explain it without it sounding bad, but...
Well, no, it makes perfect sense.
So then when he fell, so Abby was behind me, and she actually, like, screamed, like, ah, because I think she was excited. And I actually turned around to her and said, like, don't get excited. Like, even if he lost, we don't want him to know he's going home. We don't want him to know we're excited he's losing. And so then I turned back around, and that's when we saw that he was, like, still laying down. And we all were like, oh, my God, like, something happened. He didn't just go out of the challenge. Like, something's wrong. And even Jeff Probst didn't know something was wrong right away.
Right. Yeah, I noticed that.
So that's when we all were like, oh, my God, like, what's going on?
It seemed like he got up kind of quick. Was it really that short a time, or was he down a lot longer?
Oh, my gosh. You lose, like, a sense of time out there. But I would say he was probably down for 20, 30 minutes.
Wow.
The thing you didn't see is that Keith was also needing medical attention as well, the same amount.
Right. Yep.
Now, speaking of medical attention, I know that you're all sweet and nice and everything, and everybody buys that. But I heard where you try to take out another survivor in another challenge by trying to knock them out by throwing something at their head.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Was that the one where Jeremy found the idol? Was that the same challenge?
That was, yeah.
Okay.
So in that challenge with the
Confess. Come on, tell the truth now.
I will tell the story. So it wasn't a wheelbarrow. What the hell? Just a wagon. Excuse me.
Yeah.
We had to take the wagon apart and put the wagon together. So when it got to the part where we had to go over the bumps in the dirt and it had obstacles in the way, there were a bunch of coconuts. And so Cass, Sierra, and myself decided to toss the coconuts onto the other person's or the other team's track, if you will, because Bion was next to us. So we were all like picking the coconuts up, throwing them onto their area. Well, Cass was in the way of one of my coconuts, and so I threw it, and it like bonked her on the head, and she was like, "No!" And I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry, Cass." I literally like chucked a coconut at Cass's head, and it totally hit her right on the side of her noggin. So, nice. Cass, I'm still really sorry about that.
It's gotta hurt.
Yeah. She was literally holding her head like, "Oh my God, what just happened?" I'm like, "Keep going, keep going."
I didn't know about that, David. How'd you find out about that?
I think Cass said, you probably can't tell, but I'm still in a bit of a concussion state while we're doing the puzzle or looking at the puzzle. Ask your little friend why I'm feeling this way.
Yeah, I totally got her right on the side of the head with a coconut.
Yeah, she thought it was funny.
Yeah, it was pretty funny at the time.
So what did you think of this cast? Because this was not the cast that everybody was suspecting. Dwayne and I have had the privilege of talking to her privately and talking to her in a podcast, and we love Cass. We've got friends, listeners that love Cass, and this was the Cass that we were getting to know. And where's this chaos cast? Where's this other person? Did you not see, oh, she's trying to play a different game, she's trying to be nice, or did you just feel like she was playing as herself?
Well, the thing is that on Cagayan, I mean, she did what she had to do, which I totally understand. And yeah, she named herself Chaos Cass, and I said in the beginning, like, oh, nobody wants to play with her, but of course you have to pick somebody you don't want to play with. I, of course, going into the game was a little bit concerned about her because I didn't know if she was going to try and be even crazier. But when we got out there and I was on the tribe with her, honestly, she is one of the funniest people on the entire planet. She has the most amazing stories.
Oh, yeah.
I cannot even tell you. We would just sit in the shelter, and Sierra and I would just laugh. Like, it was so funny. She's so animated, and it's so great. And I just really liked her. I really like her. I love her as a person. I think she's amazing.
What I was looking forward to for this season was watching people play a different game.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't necessarily come out and be the same person. Fishback, he was so labeled as one of the smartest people to play, and then everybody's going to be watching for that. And then you had the good fortune of your canvas was hardly even painted on. You were a younger player, and they didn't know, which was great. Even Varner had played so long ago. I remember Varner. I loved Varner in Australia, but I mean, coming back this season, he didn't make the merge. But like Spencer, to me, started out different, but by the end, he was Spencer. The Spencer that we thought was going to play. But I was really impressed with Cass's play. I thought she was doing great. And what made her the target? Was she just the most threat that they wanted to get rid of at the time? Or why was she singled out over Sierra, who also Sierra to me played a similar game, but she seems like another smart player that's going to try and make big moves. Why Cass instead of Sierra? Or do you know and don't want to share?
Oh, no, I do know. There were a couple of things going on there. One of the problems is that we came into that thinking that Bion 5, the Takeo 5 from the second swap were strong, and that we would have Spencer and Abby as well. So that was issue number one, because we thought we had a group of people and that we could target whoever on the other side, which we didn't have those people. The problem at that point then is that Spencer and Joe were going to the other side, asking them who they wanted, and past beef with Tasha and Cass, came up, and unfortunately, some things that Cass said that were not bad at all were taken way out of context and blown up and made her look like she was doing something horrible when she was not.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think at that point with 13 people, when one person was so strongly wanting someone, everyone else just kind of stepped in line, because I don't think anyone wanted to make waves at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted to see who was with who after a vote. And so I think that Tasha going after Cass was just the easiest vote for everybody else. We're like, okay, this won't make waves. Like, you know, it's Chaos Cass, and Tasha's, you know, she's saying this. So, like, we'll all just agree to it, and then, you know, tomorrow we'll make a big move or whatever.
So if it was Cass and somebody not in that original core, it might have been different, but like you said, it was the wrong person, you know, to get into an argument with or get in discussion with, and then that just gotcha.
Exactly. And there was nothing that I could do.
Right.
I was bummed about that, and that's why I wrote her name down, because Joe and Keith and Spencer were so strongly with the other group for some reason, wanting to vote against her, even though we would have had the numbers. You know, there were so many relationships going on that obviously were stronger than ours. So. Well,
like you told Abby, you were playing for the rest of the game. You know, you don't throw a vote against somebody when you know it's a wasted vote that early.
Yeah. You're
still playing to work alliances and build new relationships. So, you know, it's whatever it takes to stay in the game.
Yeah.
So did you know your dad was coming on the family visit, or did you have a couple of options?
I knew it was my dad. They basically asked if it would be him. So.
Yeah.
Well, they want returning players.
Yeah. I think also because of our dynamic and everything that happened, I think that was, you know, why they wanted him.
So how was the Spencer girlfriend moment awkward, or was it emotional for everybody, or what was that like?
I'll be right back.
Okay. Go ahead, Kelley.
What is he doing?
He had to go do something. That's okay.
I mean, it was nice, whatever. I remember young love. That's so cool. You know, like, that's sweet. But I think even if my fiance came out there, I wouldn't have been, like, kissing him that much. It's just, like, gross. Like, I don't know, but whatever. It's all good. That's cute. I'm glad that they found each other. That's nice.
Yeah. Well, you know, he finally said, "I love you."
Yeah.
She's like, "It took me coming all the way to Cambodia."
Oh, God. I have no words. I didn't really have an opinion on it either way, to be honest. So.
Yeah. CBS really played up, and you know, as you go back and watch it, they really played up Spencer's second chance and how he played it differently. And
I know.
I really wish they had given Cass a little more credit for the way she played it differently. You know, but they really didn't. They just kind of let it.
Yeah, I agree with you. The weird thing about Spencer is that he got this whole edit of change and growth and how he built these amazing relationships, but in the end, he didn't. So it doesn't really make sense, right? Like, I was kind of waiting after the merge the whole time for them to start showing a more, like, villainous side of him, because everything you saw, like, it wasn't all, like, rainbows, you know? I mean, you started to see it in literally the finale episode, or of him and his kind of how he was acting, and so I was kind of shocked, to be honest with you, that he got such a heroic type edit, I guess, pretty much the entire season.
Yeah, and then at the very end, I mean, was that really an awkward moment whenever he basically threatens Jeremy?
Well, it was super awkward. I mean, the thing is that Jeremy had told me on the beach that, he like threw me a bone and like, oh, would you make fire? But a minute before that, he had said, like, the jury loves you, I can't take you. So I'm not an idiot. And so I think at that tribal, when Spencer was doing that, it was just, I was kind of cringing inside. And I wanted to say back, like, oh, well, if I go to the jury, I'm going to do the same. But I just felt like at that point, I knew I was going home, honestly, and I didn't give up the entire game, and I didn't give up even after I lost immunity. I went to Jeremy. I tried to convince him. But honestly, there was a 0.01% chance, regardless of what I said at that tribal, that Jeremy would go to fire.
See, it's funny because we talked about this. This is actually what I was wanting to bring up when we got back in here. was that to me, the Spencer we saw at the end is the Spencer that Probst said could not win Cagayan. That's the guy he was expecting to see play the way he came out. So you're saying that the edit during the season was misleading to the point, because I remember talking, I said that I'm just his edit is more like a red herring to me. I don't see him winning because I just think they're shoving it too much in our face. Just like Rey from Star Wars, who her parents would be. They're shoving it too much in our face, and it must not be true. And I remember telling you that I'm not buying this, and you just said, well, just keep watching, but she would never tell me anything. But anyway, I just felt like at the end, as he's saying that, there was no point in you saying that, because Jeremy's looking at Spencer was like, keep talking, dude. Just keep talking, because you just lost the half a vote you were going to get. Yeah.
And so, David, what I was saying before, when you weren't in here a minute ago, is that I was kind of surprised that Spencer was looked at kind of as this like hero the whole game up until the final episode, the finale. Not that he wasn't like that. If you think back, he was an underdog like me early in the game. But the thing with Spencer, and I like Spencer, I don't know, he seems to have a problem with me now, thinking that I'm mad at him. Apparently he's like unfollowed me on Twitter. Someone told me this. I don't know how people are paying attention to this. I have no problem with Spencer. Everything I talk about is only in the game, okay? And towards the end, when he did have a position of power, his attitude changed completely.
Right.
And if I had been in a position of power, I wouldn't have started treating people that badly, because there's still a game to play, even if there are only 5 days left and you're solidly in the final 3, you still don't like turn your back on people and change your attitude and say things like, oh, Kelley, ooh, I know what it feels like to be in your position and know that like you're on the bottom and you're not really going to make it to the end, but you're like, I understand you're going to do what you have to do. Like, why do you say that to somebody?
or you mean the double idol tribal council, where he says we are not changing our votes, so you people are going to have to make a decision which one of you is going to leave, and it's kind of like, hey Spencer, do you know the jury's sitting right there hearing everything that if you're going to say something mean, say it in private. Don't say it in front of the people awarding $1 million.
It just wasn't smart. And when I got voted out at that time, I mean, when I come in the jury house, everyone's looking at me like, what's happened the past day or two, because I don't know what the hell Keith told them. So I'm like, let me tell the real story.
Turns out he didn't tell them anything. He's been talking to the locals.
Keith was like, well, did you see his Ponderosa video?
Yes,
I don't know, maybe it is real. Maybe it is real. I don't know. I didn't really look at it.
I honestly don't even get me started, okay?
I would love to get you started.
But, I came in and they all were asking, and I said, I'm not trying to poison the jury, but I'm trying to say, like, he completely changed. He was super arrogant. I was like an outcast when I was left with those 3. When I was there with Keith, that we were outcasts. Like, they wouldn't even talk to us. It was just super awkward. And I think if Spencer had continued his underdog attitude just all the way to the end, he did have an okay chance at winning.
There you go.
Yeah. See, that was my question earlier about the jury. When you got there, of course, Joe he meets you at the dock. You're the only one he met at the dock with a nice drink.
Well,
that was very sweet of Joe.
Yeah,
he'd been trying the whole season to,
He didn't hear about the sand back thing till afterwards. So.
Like, why didn't I try that move?
Really? All it took was sand? No, I'm just kidding.
That was super sweet, though. That was really sweet of him.
Now, did he prep you for say, hey, just letting you know, so-and-so sits with so-and-so. They don't talk about this. Savage doesn't talk to, so he didn't give you any prep talk before you got in there?
No. Savage is being savage.
I know. You were still, hey, I know the feeling of getting voted out and wishing you want to go back in there and rip people's head off. But anyway, what was it like when you get in it? Do you remember when they started talking about Jeremy, Spencer, Tasha? Do you remember what the mode was like? Was it like, I can't believe it, the way Spencer's acting right now, or is Tasha still playing, or is she just carrying a camera? What is she doing? Or was there any did you know at that point it's all Jeremy?
No, I didn't know what other people were thinking. I knew that Tasha, I figured with that final 3, Tasha was for sure getting 0 votes. Mm-hmm. I felt like based on what people had said throughout the duration of the game after the merge, that Jeremy would win at that point. And then I started talking to people, and Keith and Kimmy also saw some of Spencer's arrogance towards the end. So I think between the three of us, we all were like, yeah, I mean, he just changed. And how do you act like that in a game for $1 million when, especially people towards the very end, like, this is heartbreaking for us.
Yeah.
And you're being so cocky, and it just was.
And plus, y'all are the ones that lived with him 24/7, for those days leading up to your exit, whereas the jury didn't get a taste. The only part of Spencer they got was the tribal council.
Right. So we just kind of added on to the tribals, exactly. So we just got to tell them how he was at camp, and that added on to how they had seen him at tribal. Yeah, totally.
So I want to ask is when did he lose any votes? Do you remember? Was it during? You think towards the end or earlier on when it just seems so heavy towards Jeremy? Because I was thinking, Jeremy, there is an inkling of not wanting to take Spencer as well, but you definitely had more votes than Spencer, in my opinion, coming your way.
No, Jeremy was. They wanted me out at Final Four. They wanted me out at Final Five. They wanted me out at Final Six. Like, they were not wanting to go to the end with me. So when I got to Final Four, and I didn't win, there was never a question of Spencer getting more votes than me.
Right.
Never.
Yeah, like I said, you were the only one that didn't have to show your resume because everybody'd seen it.
Right. And I also was honestly, part of my social game, unlike, let's say, Tasha or even Spencer, I tried to be very kind to everyone, even people that I wasn't even aligned with. I always tried to be, if they won, I was supportive. If, like Jeremy played his idols and I went to him and I was like, you dog, like his first one, I said, I know where you found that and I want to know. And we weren't even working together. We were kind of like enemies the entire game, and I still tried to be kind to everyone, and I think the jury appreciated that based on the people that were left at the end. Well,
you two were the two that had the two idols. I mean, that's the way it's like you two celebrated that tribal. Yeah. That was kind of a neat reaction that you had towards each other.
Yeah.
I knew you were up to something. Well, I knew you were up to something. And you just laughed. And everybody else is going, uh-oh.
I know. That was really fun, actually. I mean, I wish that I had put a vote on Tasha, or we had voted Tasha. But you know what? You don't know. You don't know. You have to make the best decision you can in that moment, and it doesn't always work out, and you look back and you're like, crap, what if I had done this? But I feel like in the moments I made the best decisions I could at day 37, 38, whatever.
Yeah. Well, do you remember what your thought was when Jeremy played his idol for Steven? Do you think it was an attempt to win his favor, knowing that he was probably going to go again the next tribal council, or was he actually trying to change the game and keep him around?
He was trying to change the game. I think that they, at that point, thought they had the numbers and everything was shifting, that there never really was a tight group of numbers ever. Right. You couldn't count on anybody. So I think he was trying to save Steven and hoping that they would get rid of one of us, Sierra, and that they would just move forward in the game. But the problem is that Jeremy proved to everybody how close he and Steven were. Yeah. And that made it worse because we were like, well, crap, they're super close.
Yeah.
We'll never get in with that.
Did you think he had to have had a second idol since he played the first one on someone else?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't at that point. I didn't really think about it, I guess. I mean, I thought there would be another idol, but I don't know.
Yeah. All right, so serious question here.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
How do we get Keith to play or to use the fake idol effectively, Kelley? Looking back on it, what would thou do differently?
Well, don't give it to him for one.
Yeah.
Well,
give it to him at tribal.
Okay. Here was my major mistake. My mistake was in forgetting that Keith is not a normal Survivor player.
Right.
And would think the way that I or other people who are at Final Five and close to $1 million would think. Because in my mind, I'm thinking this could potentially save me. Keep me in the game another day. I could win immunity tomorrow and maybe be in the final 3. I was not thinking, oh, let me just waste this, roll over, and die and get voted out anyway.
Yeah.
So that was my mistake in thinking that someone like Keith would think like me. That was my mistake.
Okay. So what should you have done?
I probably should have... Because
I know you've stayed up at night thinking about this.
I'll tell you what you should have done.
No. I want to hear what she's.
Well, I mean, there are different options. Like, I could have kept it for myself, wrapped it up like it was an idol, given it to Keith at Tribal before we voted so that people would have been paranoid, and then he wouldn't have even really had to play it. And when I say play it, I don't mean actually play it. I mean,
show it.
Do something with it to create some paranoia.
Stick it around your neck. Say, I'm not going home.
I could have done that and not told him it was fake. I could have... So we thought it was real. I could have given it to him at camp and told him it was real, but then he still maybe wouldn't have put it on his neck. Maybe if I told him. The thing with Keith is, like, you can tell him to do something and it makes total sense, but then, like, he won't do it. So what if I'd given it to him and said, hey, this is an idol, put it around your neck at Tribal and create some paranoia, and he, like, waits until the votes are cast.
Yeah.
He's like, here's an idol. It's just like...
Around my neck. Around my neck.
The thing is, and I said this to Rob and Josh Rigler on the red carpet after, I said, well, the reason that I didn't take it out and, like, give it to Keith at Tribal at that time, and now looking back, yes, I feel differently, but at that time I didn't do it because I played my idols differently, and people had said to me back at camp, like, oh, like, when you go to play an idol, you, like, sit up straight, you're bolder at Tribal, you say more. Like, I guess there were tells that I was going to play it at number 6. So I felt like if I pulled it out and caused some, like, shenanigans and said, like, hey, Keith, here's an idol, play it tonight, that they wouldn't have believed me, which I shouldn't have just assumed. I should have tried something because it is Final Four, but I don't know.
Maybe just pull it out and go, I don't know, but I'm not going home. And Keith's not going home.
Right, but my point is that they may not have believed me because typically I would have just taken it out if the votes are red and done another blindside and said, oh, Keith, here you go, by the way. Sorry, Spencer, you're done. And, but I see what people are saying. Afterwards, of course, people are, like, critiquing it, like, you shouldn't have done this. And what I'm going to tell you is that when you're starving and you've lost 31 pounds, you're not thinking clearly, okay? So in the moment, I did what I thought would be best. I made a mistake, clearly, and, who knows what would have happened.
Yeah. Well, I agree. I think you hit all the points of what you should have done. One was, whether it's Keith or anybody, don't trust somebody else to work out a plan that benefits you. And not just because they won't do it, but because whether they can do it.
Right.
I was telling Gracie as we were watching it, I said she needs to go find an idol or something that looks like an idol.
Right.
But she needs to scream or squeal and then tell Keith she found it. And you're going to save it for that night. And then, like you said, because let him go back giddy. Because, he's going to be safe or whatever. After since you'd already won immunity, you're going to be safe. Yeah, I'm going to hold it for you. And then, because him walking back and just slowly putting it into his pocket in front of the camp and everything, like, Keith, you're not going to get an Oscar for that. And then, like you said, just pull it out at Tribal and give it to him since you're safe. Like Dwayne said, I'm not going anywhere and he's not going anywhere. That way he doesn't have the option to play it. He doesn't have any lines in the script. He just takes the idol and holds. No, I'm not saying, hindsight, whatever. But yeah, you're making the points for future players. That's how you get someone else to play a role you want them to play.
Right.
You play it for them and give them nothing to do except hold their hand out and take the idol. I loved it, like Dwayne said at Ponderosa. I'm not even sure if it was real or not. Maybe it is real. And they're all looking at him. Everybody's trying to slap him. You idiot! You had an idol?
You guys, remember when he even was in confessional and he goes, let's see what she made here. And he goes, looks pretty good. It's like, hello? It just made no sense. Like, it made no sense. And that was my mistake, was thinking again that somebody would do what I would do. And
But if it had worked and you'd gotten to the final, that was the nail in the coffin that you would have won, I think. And I hate to put all that on one move, but that would have been brilliant to have knocked out one of those power players with a fake idol. That would have been incredible.
I know. You know what? Shoulda, coulda, woulda. Like, you look back on the game, and there's so many things you could change. And, again, all I can say is that, you know, I did the best I could in the moment. And it's easy. I'm honestly telling you from your couch, it's easy to say to do this. But it's not as easy as you think, I promise.
Oh, no.
I think you played a great game. I think a kick-butt game.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Getting the first idol, and then, of course, I was cheering again with the second idol that popped out in that nighttime game, which was awesome. Dwayne wasn't. Oh, yeah, it's Kelley getting another idol. but what's neat is Final Four, but the danger now is when you go back to play a third time, whether it's whatever formation it may be, now you've got more of a resume.
Yeah. Who's saying that I don't want third time, though?
My name's David.
Sure you would.
And I think... Are you kidding? You're a villain now. I mean, you're popular now.
Wait, am I a hero or am I a villain?
Oh, I'd say you'd be a hero. But you wouldn't be a villain.
Well, I was a witch.
Depends on which tweets you follow.
No, that's just...
No, even Joe would come out and say, obviously. So, no, I think you'd be a hero because, well, you played next to Abby. So anybody who plays next to Abby is going to be a hero.
Okay. I know what you're saying, though, David, and I don't know. I don't know if I would play again, so...
I wouldn't ask you what you do because then you'll be giving it away, so you have to just save that for when they'll be calling. Come on, they're going to call. Come on. Maybe they have already, and she's just...
Yeah, they've already called. Heroes versus villains.
You guys are so ridiculous.
At least you're not on Twitter going, please let me play again. Please let me play again. Desperation.
I don't want to speak on that.
Okay. All right, so how about we get to some questions?
Okay, I like it.
Unless you got a couple more things, David, but I think we'll cover a lot with the questions. Yeah. And then we can also, once we get through with our written questions from people and a couple audios, if anybody in the chat room wants to ask some, they can do that. And we'll
Are there people still in the chat room after 2 hours?
Yeah. There's about,
a lot.
About 15 people still in there, yep. And for us, that's good.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, good.
Well, there's a lot more people watching live than there are in the chat room, though. So, all right. So this one is from. David, do you have the document up so you can read the ones you're supposed to read, or do I need to?
Oh, I've got just email up. I don't have a document up. Sorry.
All right.
Questions are still coming in. That's why I'm in the email.
They're still coming in?
Yeah, we still got 2 that came in after the deadline. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, do you want to read Faith's? I have you reading Faith.
Oh, you keep talking about notes. Faith should be last. That should be the last question.
All right. Faith says.
Faith.
Yes, I know.
Oh, she was so nice.
She was the first question to come in.
Oh, hi, Faith. And she's a Seahawks fan. Go Hawks.
Yeah. She said, so Dwayne said to limit it to one question and have fun. So here's my one question. I know it's one that no one else will ask. It's a great question.
Oh, boy.
Are the Seahawks going to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I knew Faith would come through with a good question.
That's right.
Yes, Faith, yes. Good question. I always have to have hope that the Seahawks are going to the Super Bowl. Hey, listen, if I can be an underdog all season on second chance and get to 4th place, then I think the Seahawks can at least get close to the Super Bowl.
There you go. And
if they lose in the NFC Championship, then that's 4th place. There you
go. Okay.
She said it was awesome. It was awesome to meet you and your dad. And you did. Is it Ephrata?
Dwayne, we've talked about this.
Yes, we have. That's why I didn't read it.
It's Ephrata.
Ephrata. And you did Ephrata in Washington State proud. Smiley face, Faith.
Oh, thanks, Faith. That's so sweet. Thank you.
All right. We have one from Troy Young. David, you want to read that one?
Sure. In seasons past, there was concern for voting off physically strong people early, but in second chances, it was like they had no regard for that. In other words, they all knew they weren't going to die, weren't going to starve, etc. This was the first time I observed people getting voted off with no concern for their value to the tribes. I would like to get Kelley's perspective on how the season will change future seasons with regard to who's voted off and in what order.
Wow, that was complicated.
So
It was, but I like the
actually.
question. It's like people in the past, they say we got to keep the strong because we got to win challenges, let the weak go. But Vetus was voted off first. Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
I think the perspective of this season was you got to look for people that are going to flip, people that are going to pull blocks together, whatever. But it wasn't necessarily strongest in challenges. I agree with him with Troy that it was.
Joe went far. Jeremy won. I mean, besides Vetus, I mean, after that it was Shireen and then PG.
But when did Joe and Jeremy go to tribal? They never went to tribal for like 25, 30 days.
You're right. I see what he's saying. I do see what he's saying. I think in this season and in the season of returning players, sometimes it is about who you can trust more than keeping the tribe strong, which seems weird because you don't want to lose, but at the same time, if you win and you still don't trust anybody, then it won't really matter.
Right.
So
Okay.
that's the best answer I have. I'm sorry. And
No,
he
I agree with
always comes in my Periscope, so hi.
All right, this one's from Brian. It says, Kelley, I have a suggestion for a great prank for you to pull.
Oh boy. Okay.
During your wedding, you should pretend to pull out an idol from your dress.
Oh.
Dale would think it was hilarious.
Oh my God.
Of course, we've just ruined the surprise, but now you can expect a TSA-style pat-down from your future mother-in-law before the ceremony. Best wishes, Brian in Maryland.
Well, but wait, who am I?
I don't know.
Exciting? My
Are you
fiance.
idling out of the wedding?
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yeah. Kidding. We're not getting married.
Okay. Good
We're not getting
suggestion. I can't make any promises.
Yeah. You got one, David?
Yeah. From Ivan, just a couple of questions. After the first swap at Takeo 2.0, the edit made it seem like Kelley managed to successfully ingratiate herself with the majority and move above Terry in the pecking order. Yeah, we talked about this. Was this accurate, and does Kelley think Terry would have left before her had they gone to tribal? Was Terry definitely the first one to go, you think? And that goes back to Troy's question about getting rid of Strong, not worrying about challenges, who you can trust.
Right. Well, at that point, you guys actually didn't get to see, but Joe and Terry were very close. It was kind of weird. Like, Terry and Joe would just go sit on the beach and watch the sunset, and Terry would be like, you're going to be such a good dad, and you would be such a good lacrosse player. Like, all these random things. I have no idea what they talked about for hours. So they were close. So, of course, I mean, that's why I had to start throwing Terry under the bus, because I could see that he was getting close to Joe, and Joe was a wild card for me. I feel like after I made that kind of 5 deal that Terry would be the first to go. But, I mean, I don't know, because it would take us losing and having those conversations and going to tribal. So I would say yes, Terry was in more trouble, but, I'm not sure.
So you told me mid-season that they would ask you before going into tribal if you were even considering playing your idol?
Yes.
Did you, Ivan continues asking, were you ever worried before the Savage tribal to a point where you were considering playing your idol?
Well, yes, because of what I said earlier about Keith writing my name in the dirt. And also Joe was being super wishy-washy and was, when you know that people that you think are in your alliance are not with you, and they are being strange towards you, and they mention your name, and it comes up and say, oh, it could be you or Sierra. Well, yeah, then of course I know that something's going on.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, Davey, you want to continue his question?
Let's see. At the next swap to KO 3.0, it seemed like Kelley used her relationship with Joe to her advantage in the sense that he was so obvious in trying to protect her that Steven and Jeremy became suspicious of him and seemingly targeted him over her. Does she think that Joe really was the #1 target, over her, or had they lost the immunity challenge, and what was her strategy during those few days before the merge? Who was she trying to talk to the most?
Oh, Joe. No, I would have been the target for sure.
Yeah.
I was planning on playing my idol if Bion went to Tribal Council, regardless, because I was 1 to KO. I just didn't think I had a chance. And as I said earlier to you guys, Tasha would not talk strategy to me. And actually, the crazy thing, I didn't mention this earlier, but there was one night where there was a fire. They were staying up by the fire, and I stayed up with them for a while, and then everyone's kind of like, oh, let's go to bed, And so I laid down, and Keith laid down, and then Kimmy, Steven, Tasha, and Jeremy sat by the fire for another hour. And I was awake. I was watching them. So I knew that they were a tight 4. And Joe was sleeping or whatever. So I knew that there was a tight 4. So even if I just knew that I was in trouble on that tribe. So,
Well, that just reminded me. Did anybody have any idea that Jeremy went off to get that idol? Or you think everybody was actually asleep?
I think people were awake when he went, but the thing is, there were nights where I had to get up and go to the bathroom, and you don't really question it,
Right.
And people are like, well, why didn't you see the cameramen? Well, the cameramen aren't there to ruin Jeremy's game.
Right.
He had probably told them, hey, when you see me get up and say to go to the bathroom, or he could have said to them, hey, in 30 minutes I'm going to try, and they could have been waiting in the bushes. Producers, cameramen, no one's there to ruin someone's game by let's chase Jeremy as he goes to the bathroom.
Well, I kind of figured they just had some cameraman waiting, and when he came by,
and that's the thing, they probably did.
Yeah, I mean, there's no need to follow him from camp. You know where he's going.
Yeah, that's the thing,
Right.
exactly. They probably just had someone waiting there.
Yeah.
All right.
This reminds me of the way I know this season was great. I had too many favorite moments to pick one, but one of my favorite moments was me yelling at Kelley to drop your buff under the shelter to give you a reason to go under the shelter.
Okay.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you don't want to do it while Abby's still there.
Okay.
Because she would probably, I'll get it for you, and then she'll go under there and pull it out.
Thank you. Trust me, David. I thought of all these things. I was like, I could drop my glasses. I could drop my buff. I could say all these things.
What you should have taken your glasses and thrown them into the woods and say, oh, I dropped them in the woods. Can you go get my glasses? I can't see.
Abby, can you get those? I can't see.
Yeah.
It's, again, it seems like you're sitting on your couch and you're like, oh, just do this. And when you're out there, it's just not that simple.
Right.
It's just not. So I definitely did think about that. I did.
How long till you got out from under the shelter did the first person come back? Because they made it seem seconds.
It was maybe a minute.
Okay.
Still, that's just too short.
That's very short.
Everyone was off. I mean, and they did piece that together. They kind of did a bad job on that. I was like, okay. And even I was skeptical. People were thinking it, But it was very close. I mean, Abby stayed around camp the whole time, and then Kimmy had come back from getting clams or whatever. And then I just kind of laid my head down and pretended to be sleeping. And Abby, I think, got bored, and she finally said, I'm going to go, Kimmy said, I'm going to go sit in the, no, what happened? Abby said, I'm going to go sit in the hammock, and Kimmy said, oh, I'm going to go check on Joe and Spencer and see if they got any fish.
Also, Kimmy was there too? Because I don't think they showed her that much. They showed mostly Abby.
They didn't show her, but they were both in the shelter right before I grabbed it.
Oh, okay.
Serving coffee. Yeah.
Yes.
At the Starbucks shelter. apparently.
Yes.
Every morning, Jeremy and Joe are out drinking
Spencer,
coffee.
Spencer, Jeremy.
That morning coffee.
Yes.
All right, so your mom, Sammy Bates, decided to ask 2 questions.
God. We can just answer one.
Well, no, it's fine. I mean, Ivan got 3, but we only answered 2 because the third one we've already talked about.
Okay.
So this is from your mother.
Okay.
If you had, I'm thinking, what? You've been with her for months? You haven't asked her these questions? But okay, that's fine.
She wanted to make sure, you guys, she wanted to make sure we at least had 2 questions, just in case.
Yeah,
Wow,
well,
what did you tell her about us?
We are the smaller podcast. Yes,
This is
we
their
are the
first ever
smaller
podcast.
Yeah, we're the smaller podcast. We get it. Thanks, Mom.
No, do you remember when you called Dwayne and you needed questions answered and I was with my mom and we answered them together?
Oh, yes, I do remember that.
Yeah.
I do remember that. All right, question number 1 from your mother.
Okay.
Kelley, if you had to do it over, would you have kept Kimmy instead of Keith?
No.
Okay. Question number 2. Okay. You're going to love this question, Kelley.
Do I regret anything?
Do you have any regrets? How did you know the question already? Oh, she put it on Twitter. Do you have any regrets?
Well, I think I already said.
Exactly.
Yeah, you have some
Come on,
regret.
Mom.
Of course.
Giving
If
Keith to the
I would have,
department.
if I won $1 million, I would have 0 regrets.
That's right.
Yeah.
However, you did come home and got one honking ring on that finger.
I did.
Man, that's
That
a good
did
one.
happen.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
When are y'all getting married? Do you have a date set?
We don't have a date set. We're thinking next
Oh.
fall. So probably
So-
September.
So tell the guy you're not engaged until you have a date set. Just saying.
Well,
Well, he did
Anyway.
make an investment, so I'd say they're engaged.
All right. Okay.
okay.
All right. Let's see.
But
Kelley,
love you,
who-
Mom, by the way. Love you, Mom.
Love you, Mom. Thanks for the double D questions.
Yes,
She
just to
said
make
it was
sure
a
we had
question.
questions. Yes.
It was the question for each D, Dwayne and David. All right.
Yeah.
Kelley, who is next to go after Vetus left before Varner went back to old school? Thanks. That's from Twitter at the Survivor Fan 5.
Oh, man.
Who was the next to go
you are
after
honestly
Vetus
asking
left?
me to reach so far back in my memory.
Yes, Kelley, go back deep into the memories. Who was going after Vetus?
Wow.
I'm your Vetus. I'm your fire.
Well, it would have been Dietz,
It would have been
Wigglesworth,
Terry.
Wu.
It would have been Terry.
All right.
It would have been Terry.
Okay. This is fun. I like this. David, you want to read another one?
Well, you gonna do the audio, or are we going on to?
Well, here's one. No, we'll do audio in a minute. Here's
Okay.
one from Lee. What did you learn about yourself from the experience? Come on, Kelley. What did you learn about yourself?
Not to make a fake idol for Keith Nale.
That's what you learned. You know, I often wonder, though, do people really leave Survivor having some great revelation about their lives?
I think one of them does. I don't think the rest of them do.
Yeah.
Okay.
My life is gonna be so much different now.
All right. All right. Well,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I think you learn that, I mean, in the moment, so going back to like those rainstorms, I hadn't eaten for 4 or 5 days. Kimmy and I were eating dry rice, just like acting like that's going to do something for our bodies. I think
Right.
in that moment, you're thinking, I've never been so low in my entire life. How am I going to do this? You realize after it's over how strong you are and that you really can get through anything, because that was honestly torture. It was truly like horrible. But when you come out of the game, when you're in the game, you're so in it, but when you come out of it and you get back to normal life and the season's done and you're back to work and all these things, I mean, does it change you as a person? I don't know. Maybe some people it does, but I'm always going to be the same Kelley that I've always been. It's not gonna, like all of a sudden I'm this, different being.
Right.
So I don't know.
Okay. I think this question's very similar, so you may just go, yeah, I just answered that.
Okay.
Hey, Kelley. What did you learn about yourself through the Survivor experience?
There you go. But that one was an audio.
Oh,
So
I like that accent.
I know. Wasn't that great? Here, let's listen to it again.
Yeah.
Hey, Kelley. What did you learn about yourself through the Survivor experience?
I love that
What did you learn
accent.
about yourself? What is that? Wow, I'm so bad at accents. Okay, anyway.
That was Leanne, by the way.
No, you
Yeah,
haven't heard
hi.
Dwayne's accents. You listen to Dwayne's accents, then you'll hear his bad
Hey,
ones.
beautiful accent.
She listens to the show. She knows my accents.
Oh, that hurts.
Very nice. I liked it.
Yeah, there you go. All right.
Oh man,
Go.
I put question time in the chat room, but I forgot to go back because I've been in the email. So there's probably a lot in the chat room, but I'll go to Charlie's. Is
Okay.
that all right?
Yeah.
You're welcome, Charlie, for letting you get it in late. We saw a bunch of injuries on the show this season, but notice a bunch that were never covered or not covered. For example, Kelley Wigglesworth's leg had a bandage at the end. What was some of the injuries that accrued that wasn't shown? Do you remember?
Yeah, one of the big ones was Wu in the very beginning of the game when he went to get the rice. He had cut up his toe. and they had to bandage it, and he couldn't go in the water for the first, like, 4, 5, 6 days, which really limited him in conversations he had to have. Wigglesworth.
So if you want to talk about Woo, you just go in the water.
Yeah, pretty much. Woo wasn't really being talked about at all, so that's I do wish I did a Woo impression in one of my confessionals, and I really wish it had been shown, but it wasn't, so it's fine.
Well, you know what? Now is your opportunity.
Well, I feel like in the moment, though, it was so much better, and now I might just look like the dummy who's trying to impersonate Woo, and it's not funny.
Go ahead.
With the question, or?
No, we want to see the impersonation.
Okay, well, I have to give you some backstory. So basically, after everything flipped, after that first tribal, and Vetus went home, and Barney went to old school, I kind of sat back in the shelter, and again, just get in where you fit in. Right. And so I told the old school that I was with them, and Woo comes up to me, and basically what happened is that I could have no communication with Spencer and Shireen, because everyone was so against them. So if I was seen talking to them, I was grouped in with them, which is horrible because they were my allies at that point. But anyway, Woo comes up to me. He like leans into the shelter, puts his hand up on the shelter, and he goes, Wentworth, hey, you're cool with this? I thought you were with Spencer. And I was like, yeah, I'm good. He's like, cool. It's like, oh my God, Woo! Like, what?
For those of you listening, Woo did not just join the podcast. That was actually Kelley.
That was Kelley.
That was such a bad impression, but it was so funny.
That was fun.
He looked so confused. He was like, Wentworth, so you're with us? And I was like, yeah. He goes, cool. I'm like, oh my God, Woo! Okay, calm down.
Man of few words.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. At the time, it was really funny. I'm just thinking, okay, Woo, like, calm down.
So you got Woo at the beginning of the season being cool, and then you got Keith at the end going, fish.
Yeah, you see, look at what I had to deal with, you guys.
That's a Final Tribal Council speech. That's a speech right there at Final Tribal. Listen to what I had to deal with.
Yeah.
Do we need to go back?
You had a lot of awkward moments with men out on the island.
Well, nothing will top the sand back rub, but
that was the first episode.
Woo! Okay, so who tried to cuddle with you the most?
No cuddling.
No one tried?
Sierra was my cuddle buddy. Although, I feel like this is inappropriate, but I almost need to tell it.
Well, this is the place to tell it.
Yeah,
well,
really, Kelley tells all.
Family-friendly podcast.
Okay, parents, there won't be any foul language, but there may be some suggestive stuff. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, when we were on the Takeo 2.0, basically the sleeping order was Joe would sleep in the hammock. It would go Terry, Cass, me, Sierra, and Keith. And at one point, after a night of sleeping, Terry made a comment about having a morning man problem.
No.
And Cass was like, I'm not sleeping next to him anymore.
Oh my gosh.
And he was joking, but then it was like the joke around camp. Cass would be like, oh God, I think someone's knocking on the door. Hold on. What's going on here? I'm going to take you guys with me.
It's Terry Dietz.
Who is here?
It's Vetus. It's Vetus with a sand delivery.
Hold on.
Yeah. It's actually Terry Dietz.
Hi. Oh, sure. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, sure. I just have a loud voice. Yeah. Yes, you do. I do.
Yes.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'll whisper. Goodbye. No, I'm still going to be loud. I don't care.
My
Anyway.
gosh.
Really?
What the heck? It's
Your
only
neighbors?
like 8 o'clock there.
Yeah, I know. I
Do
don't
they
know.
have a dog that's going to sleep or something? Or?
Anyway, no, I'm going to continue to be just as loud as I was. I don't care. Anyway, so he tells Cass this, and then it's like a joke because Cass is saying, oh, like, Sierra, you can sleep next to him tonight. And then it just continued on. So there you go.
That is
I'm sorry, I'm distracted now. There's people going, she's still loud. She's still talking loud.
I know.
It's so funny because Kelley goes, yeah, I just kind of have a loud voice. She goes, yes, you do. Yes, you do.
But you know who I am, right?
Did you like when I said I would whisper and then lock the door?
Yes.
Yeah. Are you in your apartment or where are you? Or
No.
are you in that?
We don't need to give where she is. We don't need to release any information.
Well, you know what? I can see them upstairs. Maybe they shouldn't sit right next to the glass that leads to downstairs, to this room that I'm in.
Okay,
they
now
I'm back on the couch.
Are you in an open area, a communal area?
Well, remember last time when you could hear the choir?
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't go into their room and tell them to shut up.
That's what I mean, right? Because there's two rooms like on top of each other. And I think because the room that, like, I don't know why, that's all windows.
Yeah.
Or, so I think that you can hear more.
Well, what are they doing up there? Having a
meeting.
Having a meeting. Well, whatever.
So you tell them you're in a meeting too. I'm in a conference call.
Yeah.
I know, right? I know.
All right, David, ask the second part of that question.
Okay, the second part was there any returning players, of the returning players out there, who surprised you in the way they acted or just their personality that was different from what you had seen from their previous game? Have you seen every episode of Survivor? You have?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, I know. I'm just letting people know that you have seen every episode. We got only a little bit of that in San Juan because you were talking about how much you've seen and stuff. So
right.
You know everybody. You've seen everybody. So who was out there differently from what you'd seen in the previous game? We talked about this a little about Cash. Was there anybody else that you were like, oh, these not really like that, or they're different, or oh, they're like this,
I'm trying to think.
Terry's morning madness.
Yes. Oh my God. I don't know. I mean, I guess
we've heard worse. We've heard worse. So,
Kelley,
I was trying to keep it PG.
If you had told me this story earlier in the season, I could have come up with a parody about Terry's morning madness.
I think it's probably better that you didn't, Dwayne. I think it's probably better that you didn't.
That's all right. We go off the air. We'll tell you what we've heard. So anyway, that we will not put on the live recording.
Okay.
Let's see. He also mentions though, but thank you for getting me on. Let's see. He said he works for.
We're not talking about Terry. We're talking about Charlie.
We're talking about Charlie's finishing his email. He's from Michigan, now from Florida. He said he works for Disney, which is part of Give Kids the World, and hopes you'll be there. You go into that? Have you already thought about that?
I've been contacted about that. I'm not confirmed on that.
All right. Well, if you go say hi to Charlie.
Yeah.
Hi, Charlie.
If you go, you can say it now, but if you go.
Oh, okay.
Charlie, he bit my finger. That hurt, Charlie.
And it really hurt.
That hurt, Charlie. No. All right, this is from Lou. Now, Kelley, I gotta warn you.
Uh-oh.
Lou is an odd fellow. I love Lou. All right. But this is Lou's feedback for you.
Oh boy.
Hi, D&D, and hi, Kelley. You looked and sounded terrific in surround sound on my flat screen this season.
By the way, D&D, it's time for pizza in Midtown.
Kelley, if I asked you if you were or are telling the truth about your experiences on Survivor, would you be telling the truth? Before you answer, I just want you to know, let it be known that this is a trick question.
Yes, that's Lou.
Wait, is he asking if I'm being honest about my experience on the show?
I don't really know what he's asking.
Why would I lie?
No, trust me, he's not accusing you of lying.
I love more the multiple voices that come through.
Yeah, it's time. Okay, so I took Lou Otto out for pizza when I was in New York, and so that's the reference to the pizza in Midtown, right?
Oh, gotcha.
And then, okay, what was funny was we had R.C. Saint Amour on our show once.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and she reacted to his feedback in a very odd way, and Lou is, I don't know what he meant.
What kind of an odd way? Like.
Oh, she got irritated at him.
He's another person that if you meet him, he's got a great sense of humor.
Oh, he's hilarious.
He's so fun to talk to.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he was basically saying, if I ask you if you were telling the truth, would you lie to me? And if you were, in other words, I won't know if you're lying to me or not, because if you're lying, you'll say you're telling the truth.
So he wants to know the truth of whether you're telling the truth or not.
That's right. But it's a trick question.
You know that my life motto is sneaky, sneaky. So
there
he shouldn't believe anything that comes out of my mouth.
Nothing, she says. Wait a second. You've said a lot of nice things about us.
Well,
Oh.
You never know.
Sneaky, sneaky.
All right. People in the chat room, get ready, because we're doing our last audio question.
Yes.
And then we're going to get to the
Well, I got
chat.
2 more in the emails that came in late.
Oh, okay. Kelley, are you still up? I mean, you're not wanting to leave, are you? The meeting upstairs isn't calling you away.
Well, the funny thing is that I can hear them now, so I should go knock and tell them that I can hear them.
You know what? And take us with you.
Let's wait till the end of the podcast.
I'm not really going to. Like,
Okay.
because for me, like, I don't
All
have
right.
time for that. So
This is from Vader Girl, who is in the chat room. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube, that's great. But if you'll go to stwdd.com/live, you can do your questions in the chat room. Okay? All right, here we go. This is from Vader Girl.
Okay.
Hi, D&D. I'm calling for the Kelley Wentworth. I know I'm a little bit late. This is Vader Girl, a.k.a. Miriam White, a big fan of the Wentworth family and of David and Dwayne and, of course, Survivor. And I just wanted to call and tell Kelley what a warrior, femme, role model, amazing Survivor player she was. I just am so thrilled and excited to see a powerful female character portrayed on late night or primetime television, and I just want to thank her for that because we need more women role models like her, and she played an excellent game. She was just amazing. I also think she has a knack for public speaking. I've seen her interviews, and she's a total natural, and I hope to see her more in film and broadcasting and hosting and podcasting. I've also noticed that her mother seems to be a host, and I wonder if that, my question is, how much has your mother influenced you in your public speaking? And also, I want to know who is your least favorite character in Making a Murder. And I know you don't like Pratt, but what do you think of the boyfriend? I think his name is Ryan Silverberg or something, but I don't know. Crazy, crazy show, and I'm glad you're discussing it on Twitter. So, Seahawks. So I'm a Raiders fan. I just live in the Seattle area currently, but I will always love my Raiders. But I'm glad the Seahawks are doing good. And Kelley, thank you for representing this area. We love you. You're awesome and amazing. More Wentworth, Team Wentworth, 100%. Love you guys. Bye.
There you go. Go for it, Kelley.
Oh my God, I loved her feedback.
Oh, I know. She's awesome.
She's so great. I actually recognize that Twitter handle.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to go find her now.
Yeah, she's
let's see.
really into girl power. She
like
really
that.
appreciates that about you.
It's so funny she said something about hosting or acting, whatever. I would love to do, I don't want to be an actress, but I would love to do some sort of like hosting or like radio gig or something. I think that would be super fun. I love stuff like that.
You got the loud voice for it, so yeah, that would work.
I have a very loud voice.
Yeah.
I'm probably kissing them off right now. Oh, excuse me, language.
That's okay.
Anywho, okay, so her question, okay, what did she ask again?
Oh, I don't know. She said a lot of things. I don't
she
remember.
asked if she asked something about my mom, but she asked something before.
Was she an influencer? Has she? What kind of an influence was your mom?
Oh, yeah. On your public speaking.
Oh, yeah. My mom has been a huge influence in my life. I mean, growing up, my parents were divorced, but, you know, my mom and dad were totally different. And my mom has always been a huge advocate of just strong women and doing what you want to do and following your dreams, as cheesy as that sounds. So
Yeah.
my mom's fantastic. Yeah, and she's so supportive. She's amazing. I couldn't ask for a better mom, so...
Well, now that I know your mom a little more and have joked around with her, no, I'm trying to make it in voiceover work. So I'm gonna have to send your mom my way. Send her to my website. So
there you go.
Maybe she'll hook me up with something.
Maybe.
So Vader Girl put on the chat room, yeah, I was high though. So apparently she was a little under the influence during that. ADHD too, LOL. That's awesome. Isn't that awesome?
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
He's probably kidding around, of course.
That's hilarious.
No one actually ever gets high. That doesn't happen. No, it doesn't
No
happen.
one does that. What are you
All
talking
right, David.
about? Oh, that's so funny. Thank you for the question. That was awesome.
A lot of what Rion asked, I think we've already covered. He asked about when you grabbed the first idol, was it difficult to conceal the shorts? Did you have pockets on those pants you wore? Found your second idol clue. Care to comment on Savage's comment on because of your little Spanx? It gave them no inclination of you having an idol. Do you still have the lucky little Spanx?
That was funny. Where's she going to hide an idol in those pants? I think is what he said.
Oh. I'm smarter than I look, I guess, Savage.
There you go.
Wow.
I tell you what, Kelley. Since everybody in the chat room and Vader Girl and everybody's talking about you being great, anytime we need a podcast co-host, we will call you.
Well, we'll want to have her on to talk about how our team's winning anyway. So
yeah, and Kelly's going, oh really? Oh, thank you, Dwayne.
I thought this was my one time. Okay.
I see my career exploding now.
Oh my gosh! Oh, I'm hurting now. I'm hurting.
But if anyone knows a good agent, let me know.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, Andrea Belke's working her way up the chain.
I know she is. You know what? I'm going to her event in January, and I'm going to talk to her. But I've been talking to some other people as well.
Yeah, tell her I said hi when you see her.
I definitely will. She's so sweet.
I think we answered this. We talked about it. Mike K wants to know, at the final 6 tribal council, since you decided to play your idol, did you consider voting for Tasha instead of Jeremy so that if Jeremy also played an idol, Tasha would get voted out? I think you talked about that in hindsight, but did you ever think about it before?
Well, it's very difficult because there were 2 scenarios, right? Like either we all vote Tasha instead of Jeremy, which we could have done, which would have been the best, because the second scenario is that they, Keith and Kimmy vote for Jeremy and I throw 1 vote to Tasha, and that way Tasha goes home. But if I had done that, what if Jeremy didn't have an idol and then it was 3 votes for Keith instead of me? There were just so many scenarios. Yeah. I don't even remember how it all shook out. I just, at the time, again, I made the best decision I felt at that point. You're so dehydrated and so hungry, and relying on other people, it's very difficult to say.
All right, the chat room right now is in the middle of a discussion about weed, so I'm trying to get.
Oh boy.
There's an actual question. No, it's not a fight. It's just they're talking about marijuana.
No, I'm not saying they're fighting.
Oh.
I think Mike V wanted to know, was there one person out there you're really looking forward to playing with? Was there anybody out there in particular?
Mike V. I wonder if that's the same Mike V that I always see on Twitter and Periscope. It might be. If it is, hey
Probably.
Mike V, I see you. He made me sign a Patriots picture, which I was not happy about. It was
Kelley, you've got to learn to say no.
Well, it's when I had my picture with my Patriots hat that I had to wear because I lost the bet to Jeremy from the Super Bowl last year. But anyway, to answer his question, anyone I was looking forward to playing with, a lot of people. I mean, there really wasn't anyone that I was. Abby kind of terrified me, but I was looking forward to. I was looking forward to playing with almost everybody.
Yeah. It's an all-star season, especially for a real fan.
Yeah, and you know what? After hearing a lot of Jeff Varner's podcast to get on the show, I thought he sounded hilarious. I loved his sense of humor, so I was excited to meet him because I thought that we would get along really well, and we did. So.
Marcella wants to know what you would have done with the $1 million.
Hi, Marcella. Thank you again for the $1 you sent me. $1 million. Well, the first thing I was going to do was take my family on a vacation and just like pay for everything and just to celebrate the win and all spend time together, because I've never done that with, I just have never had the funds to do that. And then after that, I was just going to invest it. So, yeah. I want to buy a house. I want to possibly buy property somewhere. So.
D&D stock.
Well, good luck keeping up with your dad, because he seems to be on the ride all the time. We're friends on Facebook, and he is riding everywhere.
Well, he's retired now, David.
I know, but man, he's good luck. Jess Smith wanted to say, Kelley, you're so fantastic with all your fans, with Periscope and Twitter. Thank you for being so wonderfully awesome, because you are very, very reachable by your fans.
Jess.
If you could play with any player you haven't played with, and she says from little Lil J Smithers, so that might be her handle.
Oh yeah, I know her.
Yes. Who would you want to play with that you have not played with? And you can't say the Christies again. You've already played with them. So.
Man, that's really the only person I would want to play with. I can't believe you're not letting me.
Gotta draw the line somewhere.
Say them. Wow. Oh my gosh, that's a really hard question.
I agree about Varner. He's just somebody I would want to hang out with, just to laugh at.
Yeah, I mean, he just brought so much comedic relief on a season that was, well, for the time that I was with him, it was just so stressful, and he was so funny. He farted in Abby's face once, and it was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
That's awesome.
He just didn't care, which was, I love that about him,
Yeah.
you know? He didn't care what anybody thought. Gosh, but who else? That is such a hard question. I feel like I'd have to literally look at a list. Like, there's nobody that pops out to me immediately. It's hard to say.
Okay.
All right, think about that one. Hannah Stevenson wants to know, did anyone really have any real questions for Tasha during Final Tribal to make their final decision, or was it pretty much locked in that she wouldn't get any votes? Love you, Kelley. I enjoy your Periscope, from Hannah Stevenson.
Hannah, I remember you too. Look at all these scopers.
I have a prediction.
What?
CBS gave you questions to ask Tasha. All right, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You're pretty spot on, Dwayne.
Oh, am I?
No one had questions for Tasha.
And yet
I
we
remember
heard.
thinking she's not even in the equation.
Right. Ryan, I never pronounced your name right. Correct. Sorry, Ryan. We know you are limited with what clothing you can bring. Was there something you wanted to bring but couldn't because it wasn't in your character?
Yeah, pants.
You're like, I would like to dress. Sorry, Kelley, you're bikini the whole way.
Why do you think I brought a pair of long blue socks?
Yeah.
So that I could keep my legs warm. Yeah, unfortunately, you don't, people laugh because they're going, oh, why has she got, wedges on, or why is she in shorts? And I hope people realize that we don't get to choose our outfits.
That's right.
If they had everyone in a Jeremy Collins outfit, that wouldn't be fun. So they chose my outfit for me, essentially. I sent in a couple of sweatshirts and demanded that I get a sweatshirt, and they sent them back to me. So I guess that didn't work out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Davey. You want to ask any of these?
I'm following Marcella's. Did you already find Marcella's? Oh, yeah, you did, because you kept mentioning
I asked it.
question above. Mm-hmm. Get whose?
Anybody's. Vader Girl wants to know if your dad is single. She has some single friends.
No, my dad is happily married. He's been married to my stepmom for many years.
Okay. BJ writes, Kelley, how do you think Kimmy would have played the fake hidden immunity idol if Keith was voted out at Final 6? Do you think you could have gotten out Jeremy or Spencer? Well, Kimmy would have played if you and Kimmy had come together on the fake idol thing, that would have worked out a whole lot better.
Yeah, it would have worked out, but I think what people are failing to see is that I didn't trust Kimmy not to go back to Jeremy after that tribal, because what would be the point of her going with me?
Right.
Like, she would at least be guaranteed a Final 4 with Jeremy, Spencer, and Tasha. If she went with me, where does that leave her? So that was my fear with her, is that I had not been working with her that long, and I didn't trust her to just ditch them, or for Jeremy to not rope her back in. So yeah, she probably would have played an idol, but would that even have been an option? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's too hard to speculate. So much speculation can be had, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like I just sounded like Stephen Avery there, which was weird.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know how she got there.
That's what I forgot on Vader Girl's question, was the making a murderer.
I don't know how she got there.
That honestly lead to another hour, so I think we better just...
Do you love me?
What was that? Who was your least favorite person? Or?
Oh, Ken Kratz for sure.
Yeah.
Let's just go ahead. Making a murderer. Okay. So...
Up to episode 8.
Are we done with Survivor?
Do you have anything else? Anything that you wanted to say that we didn't? Okay. I'm done with Survivor. How about you, David?
Yeah, I'll just ask her privately later if we got any other questions.
Okay. Yes.
Get the better answers that way. Go ahead.
All right, Making a Murderer. I thought this is all over Twitter. I gotta watch
It's spoiler
this thing.
alert. So yes, exactly. So we're going to talk about
Yeah,
everything.
spoiler alert! If you
Oh,
have
yeah.
not watched Making a Murderer, I realize there's a full-on podcast going on about it somewhere else, but we've got Kelley. That's the important thing. Kelley.
That's so nice, Dwayne.
I can't wait to show you the video, though.
Oh, I can't wait either.
Okay.
When she sees what you're wearing, she won't want to watch it. But anyway.
What?
Just kidding.
It
What
took
is
me a
there
long
to see? She's looking at the video right now, so I don't know. It's the same thing.
You're right. That did sound like Steve Avery, didn't it?
Yeah.
I just will make sure you're here when I get back. Anyway.
Oh, Steve.
Poor guy.
I know.
Anyway, what did you enjoy about Making a Murderer?
Well, I don't know if I enjoyed it because it made me really angry.
I know.
Made
It's
me
like
really,
So is
because
it not going to get better in the last 2 episodes?
David, it's depressing.
we won't talk about Brendan Dassey, which is just a whole other sort of angry. We'll just talk about Stephen Avery since you've already seen that part.
Does Stephen come back in the last 2 episodes?
No, no.
So his story's done?
Oh no, actually in the last one it does a little. Yeah, it does.
Okay.
But we'll just talk about
The guy's going to be in jail the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so is
how he gets out. Go ahead.
And so is the kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
fine. You can tell me that.
Yeah. So you guys, I mean, this whole time, the only reason I thought something good might happen is I'm thinking this cannot end horribly. Like this can't. Just I'll be so angry, and then it did anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say this for the 152nd time, according to Dwayne. I'm a criminal justice major, and I am befuddled by some of the holes in this case. It's got to be 100%, or it's not at all.
That's what I'm saying. And yeah, they can't prove that he did it, but they cannot prove. Oh wait, whatever. The evidence is pointing. Like you can't deny that. You can't say for sure that he did it, and there are too many things missing and too many pieces not adding up. Like
Yeah.
You can't say he's guilty.
Now there have been some other reports come out
I saw that.
on shows, and I've avoided them because I haven't finished the series, so I didn't want to hear because certain things were not shared in the documentary, yada yada.
Right.
So I haven't seen everything, so I'm sure I'll be reading a lot when it's over. So we saw it from the defense side. You never heard from France in this interview. You only heard from the other 2 lawyers, who one of them sounded like Saul, Better Call Saul, which I thought was kind of cool. But the not Buting, but the other one with the glasses, with the more hair.
Dean.
But Dean, yeah. But they it was one of those cases that frustrates you about a movie in that he was already guilty. They had to prove he was innocent, where it's supposed to be the other way around. You have to prove that he did it, whereas it wasn't. They had to prove that he couldn't do it. And if you're saying that he didn't do it, you're saying that a police officer killed him. No, that's not what we're saying at all. It's slap the TV. It just frustrates you.
It's very frustrating, and I just feel so badly for him. It's
like what he's had 3 years of his life out of prison.
I know.
Well, I mean, since he's 18.
I was gonna say he didn't go to prison at 4, but yeah, that's what you're saying.
And even just beyond him being, convicted of murder, it was the little things where that, at that one time that woman, I forgot her name, the girlfriend was keeping him together, and then they told her she couldn't have contact with him.
Right.
That's not right. You can't do that to people.
The fact that she's not having contact is driving her to drink. I mean, that's what's causing her to do it. And he lost 2 relationships and his kids.
I know, and his poor parents. Like, it's just tragic. He'll probably be in jail when they die, and not trying to be saying horrible things, but it's true. Like, it's just horrible. It just makes me angry, so.
All right.
What?
There's people are mad at us in the chat room because we're not answering their questions.
What do they want to know? I have to eat.
Yes, sir.
So
Grissom Lover 420. Kelly's question to Jeff at the end was production influenced, right? Your final tribal council question. Was that your question, or did they suggest you ask that question? Final tribal.
Oh yeah.
Possibly.
Possibly.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Should I wink?
Yeah, do that on iTunes. That's right.
Maybe that would be better.
All right, let's see. Ask Kelley what her strategy would be if playing a third time and she was on a tribe with Russell Hantz. Okay, that is a crazy question.
We're not going to go into that.
How much time do we have?
And if you had to wear purple shorts. No, seriously though. I mean, how do you even play with Russell Hantz? That
I don't know, you guys.
would you try to get him out early? Is the question.
I don't know. I don't.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know.
either.
I'm sorry. I can't answer.
All right. Back to Making a Murderer. Sorry, people. We're done with Survivor. Making a Murderer talk with DD and K.
Yeah.
No. Well, okay, so we have to understand that this is a documentary, and it is definitely biased towards the defense, right? Now, I mean, it is. But what I find interesting is they started the documentary before they knew the ending, obviously, because this is true life. So they really didn't know how it was going to end. But, man, oh, my gosh. The guy's in prison for 18 years, refuses to acknowledge, to confess for something that he didn't do. Anyway, so watch it if you haven't seen it.
It makes me mad that they made. Okay, here's the thing, Brendan Dassey, and I honestly, I'm not trying to be mean here, but the kid can barely formulate a sentence.
I know.
All he knew about his lawyer is that he liked cats.
Yeah.
He thought after he confessed.
Oh, the lawyer! Don't even get me started.
Going back to school, like.
Right.
Don't even get me started on his lawyer. Oh my goodness.
Lynn, I know. And then his confession, which they didn't really bring into Steve's trial, but they did because they were saying like, oh, her blood would be everywhere. This is what they did, and they, that was all talked about. Well, yeah, it would be, and it was nowhere. It was nowhere. There was nothing. Like, it's just the things that they're trying to prove. It's just so incredibly frustrating, and it makes me really angry. And the fact that the brother and the ex-boyfriend weren't questioned about her murder, and it's just
oh yeah, and then the messages that were removed from her phone.
Yeah, it's just.
How often do you see a case that starts in public the way it did completely changed? And the prosecution gets by with it. They completely changed the narration of the story of what happened, chained to the bed and the throat cut, and they just completely drop that part because it doesn't fit their evidence any longer.
There was no blood anywhere.
I know. That's what I'm saying. They had to change their story because what they came up with didn't match anything. But
exactly. And then they just randomly found a key 7 days into the investigation.
After the two guys showed up that were being sued.
It's just, we could go on forever.
What really got me was the most recent one I watched, the juror that left for family emergency reasons. And he brings up the fact that it was 7 people not guilty.
Yeah. I'm so mad. I can't. I'm so mad.
3 people refused to even talk.
I'm so mad.
He said that if they would just say, we're not even going to talk about the other options, he's guilty.
That's so aggravating. I hate that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can all agree that it's
okay. It's horrible. What was your favorite immunity challenge? And then we'll be done.
Thank you. I was going to ask you.
Oh, my God.
What was your favorite immunity challenge?
My favorite one was the final 5 with the obstacle course and the puzzle. I love.
You did the hardest one first.
That was awesome. Yes.
That was fun. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if you heard the podcast, but I related that to how I eat food.
That's usually what I do. But yes, he did.
Yes, because I like, okay, this is how I eat food, Kelley. If I have a plate of food in front of me and I can rank my food.
I remember this, Dwayne.
Yes, what I'm going to, thank you. See, you do listen.
I listened.
What I enjoy the most. And you did the smart thing. You had the most energy at the beginning, so you did the hardest part first.
Yeah.
And you kicked butt. It was awesome.
Did you also see when I passed Tasha on the one obstacle?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Who's the challenge beast now, Tasha?
But you know what, Kelley, though? It would have been a disservice to all the people who voted us on to let you make it to the final 3.
You're right.
That would have been a disservice.
I know it would have. I'm sorry I let the fans down.
Oh, we didn't even get to that topic. Oh, yeah.
Let's not touch on it.
Hey, everybody, listen.
We all know the truth.
Kelley is, Kelley, in all sincerity, thank you for coming on our show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
We're the two old guys in the podcast world.
Yeah, she had to twist our arm. So.
David and I finally realized, we're the two old guys doing this. But thank you for coming on our show. It's always a blast having you on. Looking forward to our preseason D&D Challenge draft show where you and David will be pitted against me and Dan Foley.
Yeah.
D&D Survivor Challenge, which will be a lot of fun.
Yes, I'm excited.
That's going to be a great podcast.
That'll be so good.
So that's going to be great. I anticipate you will be on Rob Has a Podcast soon, I would think. I know the guys over there.
That is a high possibility, yes.
Yes. I mean, if his fans have anything to do with it.
Don't get me started.
God forbid we have you on our show. But anyway.
I love everyone.
Yes. So anyway, and possibly on the tribe or whatever, watch Kelley wherever she goes. Great to watch her on the show. Go ahead, Kelley. Say whatever you want to say. The table is yours.
What do I want to say? I feel like I've already talked too much. I just want to say thanks to you guys. You guys have been supportive the whole time. I mean, we've had so many fun podcasts together. You guys are amazing. I feel like you're like family now. And just thanks to everybody for tuning in tonight and sticking around this long. It's been like 3 hours now through all of our difficulties.
Yeah,
and,
sorry.
Just in general to the fans, honestly, I wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for the fans. So I could never say it enough. Thank you so much for voting as many times as you did. And again, I hope I did you proud. So, yay.
Well, you are definitely the chat room queen. Because the chat room's never had this many people. It's lower now, but at one point the whole page was full. And
good! I love that.
So thank you for periscoping us and getting your folks on there, and it's been fun.
Sorry
if we missed any questions, but I can't keep going up and people keep filling up stuff.
That's how I feel in Periscope every time.
I will tell you a little behind the scenes that most of the time we'll have up to 30 live viewers at a time.
Yeah.
On this one, I'm about to be able to tell you exactly. I've seen it as high as 93.
Oh, wow.
Which for us is pretty big,
That's pretty good.
Which means she's going to be on every podcast going forward. So
I'll tell you who else is a big draw. Colton Cumbie. Anytime he writes for us on our website, which David and Colton are going to battle this next season, Power Rankings battle.
Oh, fun!
My goodness, anytime you put anything Colton Cumbie on our website, they just flock. People flock to it.
That's awesome.
All right. So
hey, Rion wants to know one more thing. Would you do the Durham Warrior Survival Challenge if they called? The 4-day Survivor event?
I have been contacted about that already. Oh my God, Dwayne, are you like, what's going on over there?
He's hyperventilating. He's about to pass out.
I don't get to go this year. I went and was a cameraman in 2015 when David was beaten terribly. And I don't get to go this year, and if you get to go and David gets to go, I'm going to be upset.
David is going.
Yeah, they did ask me.
Okay, we had as many as 108 people at the same time watching at one time.
Well, you guys, that's great. That's like how many people come to my Periscope.
Which for our little show is awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
It's not 10,000, but it's 108.
I hope they came in when I was telling the Terry Dietz story and not when we were having technical difficulties.
Yeah, really. Morning madness. Although he called it the morning problem or something.
Well, I didn't want to. Do you want me to say the actual words?
No.
Okay. No. I was trying to be polite to the parents.
I'm just thinking, the guy's over 40, it'd be a morning miracle.
Well, apparently not for Terry Dietz. Even while in the Cambodian jungle. So.
Like, honey! Oh my gosh, look! I exaggerate.
I know, but
anyway, it was great having you on. So
yeah, thanks. Thank you so much, you guys.
Huge thank you to all of our D&D patrons. Couldn't do it. We have 30 patrons now, Kelley. 30 people that support us monthly through Patreon, and doesn't cost that much. Also, people shopping Amazon using our links, of course, helps support the show and helps us improve our equipment so that we don't have problems like we did at the beginning of the show.
Yes.
Head on over to our Facebook join our Facebook group. Kelley's part of our Facebook group.
Yes,
We
I
have
am.
fun on there. And there you go. All
Yeah.
right. So, Kelley, are you going to Durham Warriors Survival Challenge or not?
I don't know, Dwayne.
Oh.
That's my girl.
I don't know.
Okay. In all seriousness, this is horrible. I am taking a group of students to Florida.
Would they even know you disappeared for a couple days?
I am seriously considering saying, you know what, kids, this is a horrible music and mission camp. We really should do something else. And so I can go to Durham Warrior Survival Challenge, maybe even compete.
Well, maybe, Dwayne, maybe you shouldn't commit to things when you don't know the dates of other things.
Yeah. It's like I have a job and I have a podcast.
I have a job too.
Yeah,
so I feel you. I know. I feel your pain. In all seriousness, it's been a little difficult because, as you can imagine, the first time that I played, I wasn't getting all of these glorious invites.
Right. Right.
And now I'm getting an overload of invites, and you know me, I want to say yes to everything, but I do have a job, and I didn't win $1 million, so unfortunately, I cannot just travel the country every month doing these different events and stuff. Yeah. I'm looking at my calendar. I'm trying to figure out what will work for me and not work for me. And,
Well, I'll just tell you this. I don't know if you've watched any of the Durham Warrior podcasts that David has done, but to the player of like former Survivor players. I mean, just watch our interview with Troyzan. It's just like, I couldn't believe how great Durham Warrior Survival Challenge was.
Or Dr. Jill.
And Dwayne, it has nothing to do with that.
Oh, no, I know. I'm also wanting we're going to have a lot of listeners and a lot of watchers for this podcast. If they made it this far into it, you know, they should check out Durham Warrior Survival Challenge.
Yeah, totally. And I met Bob Crowley at this past Survivor finale, and he was so kind, and that was a real treat for me. So.
Yeah, I gave him a Survivor Talk shirt.
You know what? Everybody in Maine is kind. It's one of the nicest places you'll meet.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah, it's like they're all kind, you know. They're all kind up there, you know.
Oh.
Yeah?
Are they all Irish? What's going on?
All right, I'm sorry.
Okay.
This is Wisconsin.
Yeah, Wisconsin. All right, Kelley, it's been a blast. Do you have anything else you want to say? I think I've already given you that opportunity, but I'll give it to you.
No, I'm totally good. Thanks again, you guys.
Okay. All right, so everybody, we're about to get off the air, and then I think there was a couple private things where we're going to say something off the air, so we'll thanks for listening, everybody. See ya. Everybody say bye.
See ya.